All right, I'm going to assume we're recording. Welcome, everybody, to the August 18th, 2025 Select Board regular meeting. We will start with my announcement, or my spiel. This is Select Board Chair Joshua Levine. I will be confirming that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Vineeth Hemabathy.
Here.
Shelley Maynard DeWolf.
Here.
Andrew Lamb.
Here.
Dan Zwerkow.
Here.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lynn Simmons.
Here.
Mike Barbieri. Peggy Sheldon. We need those doors open, please. Or, well, just that one's fine, at least. This open meeting of the Long Meadow Select Board is convened in person and via Zoom webinar as posted on the agenda and town's website, identifying how the public may join. There is no chat or Q&A function. All of the materials for this meeting are available on the agenda posted on longmeadowma.gov. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. This meeting will feature resident comment. For residents attending the meeting in person, please raise your hand when we get to the comments section of the meeting, and I will call on you to approach the microphone. For residents participating in the meeting via Zoom webinar format, please use the raise hand icon at the bottom of the screen. The meeting moderator will promote you to panelist, unmute you, and give you permission to speak. If you join the webinar by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and *6 to mute, unmute. Residents who wish to speak will identify their names and addresses only. Each individual is afforded 3 minutes for comments. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. If anyone in attendance is recording this meeting, please announce yourself now.
Sarah Hainan and Reminder Publishing.
Thank you, Sarah. I'll now begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'll start with Select Board announcements. Long Meadow Middle School Building Project. A special town meeting will be held on September 9th to vote on project funding for the middle school building project, followed by a special election on September 30th to vote on a proposed debt exclusion. For additional information, please visit the middle school building project page on longmeadow.k12.ma.us. And for those following along online, these links are clickable from the agenda. Planning Board vacancy. The town of Long Meadow is seeking a resident to fill one vacancy on the Planning Board. Any Long Meadow resident interested in being considered for appointment to fill this vacancy should apply by Wednesday, August 27th, 2025 at 4 p.m. Applications are available on the town website, longmeadowma.gov, on the board and committees page. Please submit a cover letter and current resume with your application to Associate Planner Dean Syed, DSYED at longmeadowma.gov, and Select Board Town Manager Administrative Assistant Margaret Sheldon, msheldon at longmeadowma.gov. Interviews will be held at the September 15th Select Board meeting, with appointments to be made at a subsequent joint meeting of the Select Board and Planning Board. First Responder Night. First Responder Night will be held tomorrow, Tuesday, August 19th at Williams Middle School from 5 to 8 p.m. Admission to the event is one non-perishable item to donate to the Long Meadow Food Pantry. The event will include food trucks, live demonstrations by the police and fire departments, and more family-friendly activities. Okay, so first on the agenda we have resident comments. If you'd like to speak, please approach one of the microphones. Introduce yourself by stating your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Kurt Friedman. I live at 24 Ridge Road.
Oh, go ahead.
Can I proceed? Good evening, Long Meadow Board of Selectmen. Although a comprehensive renovation of each middle school is less ostentatious than the proposed central mega middle school, less can sometimes be more. The choice to maintain our neighborhood schools is in the best interest of our Long Meadow community for the following reasons. The renovation of each school is consistent with a responsible Long Meadow long-range plan, traditional community standards, as well as established sustainability standards, professional engineering, and professional architectural ethical standards. The financial cost for renovation will be less than consolidation. We must consider our ability to fund other capital projects in town, including maintenance to all other schools and public buildings. The total building square footage of the two middle schools is greater than the proposed mega middle school. The square footage per student for the existing schools is 26% greater than that of the mega middle school. The existing schools have the natural open space of 6 baseball diamonds and 2 soccer or football fields. The proposed mega middle school will only have 1 plastic AstroTurf field. The 5 to 10% or more property value reduction in the Glenbrook Wool Swamp sector will be avoided. The renovation of each school will result in the collective real estate values for our entire town to increase. On average, families will have less commuting time for neighborhood schools. Our community will avoid the traffic gridlock that will occur regularly at the proposed mega middle school. Our children and schools will be safer with our neighborhood middle schools. With neighborhood schools, busing is much less, and 3 times as many students will be able to walk and bike to Glenbrook and Williams middle schools. On average, families will have more time together. With neighborhood schools, students will have greater acceptance and greater access to extracurricular activities. The classrooms will still have upgrades in technology, and our students, along with high-quality teachers, will receive an excellent education. Our middle school buildings will still be made more energy efficient and have HVAC systems that use conventional equipment that is sustainable and more economical to maintain and repair. Due to our extreme electricity costs in Massachusetts, electrification of HVAC systems has greater utility costs, not less. And lastly, our taxes will be less. Our quality of life for our community will be better, and our children will be happier by maintaining our neighborhood middle schools. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
This is not about the middle school. Okay, hi, Select Board. My name is Brianna Ash. I live at 65 Burney Road. I'm 1/3 of Poor Things Coffee, along with my husband and my best friend of 20 years, Allie. We launched Poor Things Coffee in March of 2023 and became the first permitted food truck in town in early 2024. After completing a 6-month probationary period, we ensured to ensure that we operated smoothly and without issue. Since then, we've worked tirelessly to grow our small family and friend-run business. We currently operate 4 days a week across 3 of our 5 permitted locations. We're here tonight regarding the pending permit of another coffee vendor, Sokol Coffee Roasters. While we're excited to see another coffee business join the community, we do have concerns about the overlap in requested locations. Sokol has applied for several spots, including Bliss Park, the Community House, and the Blinn Tennis Courts, all 3 locations where we currently operate weekly. This raises a couple of important questions for us. If both vendors are permitted in the same location, who in the town will be responsible for scheduling and coordination? Is the town comfortable with having 2 vendors selling nearly identical products in the same place at the same time? Out of respect for the work we've invested to establish these sites, we respectfully ask that overlapping permits not be granted for vendors serving similar items. There are many other public locations in town where Sokol Coffee Roasters could successfully operate without the duplicating areas we've worked hard to build and maintain. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bill DiGiulio. I reside at 8 Woodside Drive, and I am here to voice my opinion on the consolidation of the middle schools at the Williams property. I'd like to talk a little bit about the history of schools in town. Glenbrook was built in 1967. The Williams Middle School was built in 1959. Clearly, both schools are in rough shape and need attention and are substandard by, any measure, especially Longmeadow's tradition of educational excellence. However, I would like to point out that all three of the town's elementary schools are actually older than the two middle schools. So Center School was constructed in the 1920s, Wolf Swamp was constructed in 1956, and Blueberry Hill was built in 1957. All three of these schools were renovated or done with a reno-ad, with Center being done in the mid-'90s and Blueberry and Wolf Swamp being renovated in the early 2000s. At that time, there was no outcry to tear the schools down. There was no mention of the buildings being obsolete and in need of destruction, and there was no outcry to build new elementary schools. So my contention is that the same can be done with Williams Middle School and Glenbrook Middle School. Yes, they're old, but any building that's brick and mortar can be renovated. I would also like to point out that the building we're sitting in now, Longmeadow High School, is also older than both Glenbrook and Williams, having been constructed in 1956. And 12 to 13 years ago, when this building was being renovated and added on to, there was also no outcry to tear it down and build a new school across the street on the Russell Fields, and then turn the Williams High School property into ball fields. So, once again, I think the way to go is a comprehensive renovation of both middle schools. We are advocating for a renovation, not a consolidation. This is the history that Longmeadow has followed for decades, and I see no reason to veer off that path. The last thing I'll do, seeing as I have 30 seconds left, is I think consolidating the middle schools on the Williams property is a great disservice to the residents of the Glenbrook and Wolf Swamp areas of town. There are numerous families in that area of town who purchased their homes so that their children could walk and bike to Wolf Swamp, and then when they graduate to middle school, could walk and bike to the Glenbrook. Those families are losing that ability. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Irene Lukellis, and I live at 40 Woodside Drive. And I guess just on Mr. DiGiulio's coattails, I'd like to talk about the renovate and not consolidate. The loss of Glenbrook Middle School will reduce property values in the greater Glenbrook-Wolf Swamp sector by 5 to 10%, as per the National Association of Realtors and other sources. The Middle School Building Committee never completed a real estate valuation of the loss of residential property values if Glenbrook were to close down. For previous school projects, the Longmeadow would ask that all residents support the neighborhood schools, since quality neighborhood schools protect real estate values. With the proposed combined middle school and closing of Glenbrook, residents in the greater Glenbrook-Wolf Swamp sector will have their taxes go up and their property values go down. Property values may drop collectively by over $100 million in the greater Glenbrook-Wolf Swamp sector of our town. The loss of Glenbrook will result in the loss of open space of 4 baseball diamonds or 2 soccer fields. The construction of the combined Longmeadow Middle School will result in the loss of open space of 2 baseball diamonds and 2 football soccer fields at the Williams Middle School sports field. The proposed $1,200,000 AstroTurf sports field, with reported $39,000 in annual maintenance and $50,000 annual restoration costs, because the plastic grass lasts only 8 to 10 years, may also result in exposure to documented hazardous substances and greater rates of concussion, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and other bodily injuries. AstroTurf surfaces can reach temperatures of over 145 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer sun, 50 degrees hotter than natural grass, and can cause severe friction burns. The subject traffic studies in late April 2024 and late March 2025 collected data during dry and overly optimistic weather conditions. The true traffic congestion in sub-freezing and inclement weather was only assumed and never documented when the expected or known vehicle transport of students would have occurred. Although the subject traffic study degraded nearby roads to the poorest level of service, the LOS, to E or F because the study was fundamentally skewed, the traffic
That's your
congestion
time. You can finish your sentence.
would be even worse, and the public student safety would be at even greater risk. The subject traffic study was not fair or objective. It did not follow established engineering strategies, standards, and the combined middle school will have 3 times
That's
the
your time, please. Thank you.
traffic vehicles. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Peter Coop. I live at 33 Duxbury Lane, Long Meadow. Maintain the quality of education for your Long Meadow students through our more than half-century multi-generational tradition of tried and proven neighborhood middle schools. Let's go. Neighborhood schools provide the highest quality education for Long Meadow children. The demolition of Glenbrook Middle School will forever end a 57-year-old tradition of a cherished neighborhood school in the greater Glenbrook Wolf Swamp areas. Neighborhood schools better protect our property values. Neighborhood schools minimize traffic congestion. Neighborhood schools minimize busing and vehicle transport of our children. Renovation, not consolidation. Remove Glenbrook Middle School. Renovate Williams Middle School. Let us work together for the best interests of our Long Meadow community. This is the most consequential vote in Long Meadow's history. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Teresa DiGiulio, and I will finish what Irene could not. The combined middle school will have 3 times the vehicle traffic of the present school traffic, which gridlock will be far worse, not better. So I just want to speak to, we have canvassed the Glenbrook area because we feel that people are being disserviced over there. And we have gotten a few people that are very interested in this school being implemented, this mega school. However, I would say about 90% of the people that we canvassed are not for this school on that side of town. They realize their property values are going to dwindle. They're losing a school that their kids could ride or walk to school. So their health is going to be affected by this as well. And in the beginning, you guys were implementing that by having the mega middle school at the Williams site, that it would be healthier for children to walk and bike ride. Well, that's not the facts, because the facts are the children are not going to be able to safely walk or bike from that side of town. So they're really upset. They know they're going to have to either put their kids on a bus, which most parents do not want to do, and they'll have to pay for busing because they're under the 2-mile limit, and they're going to have to drive their children back bad weather days. And that's going to increase traffic for this side of town. So I see that this town is being split apart, the haves and the have-nots. It's not fair to the other side of town, per usual. And they want their middle school. They want their kids to ride and bike. There was a woman who is an alma mater of Glenbrook. She just bought a home 2 years ago, knowing that she could give her little children, 2 years old and younger, the right and the love of going to Glenbrook Middle School, like she had. And she's saying now, I've not heard about this. You're coming to my home, canvassing, telling me this. How come I didn't know about this? Most of the people over there still don't know about this. So we just found out about this, not this past May, the May before. And you say you've been working on this for 9 or 13 years. The people of this town are being disserviced. And that's all I have to say.
I live at 25 Woolworth Street in Longmeadow. I am speaking to you tonight as a representative of our committee, Smart Longmeadow, which is helping to share information about the school and encouraging residents to come vote yes at town 9th. I am myself an alumnus of the original Blueberry Hill School before it was renovated. I was an alumnus of Williams Middle School as it still stands today, as is my mother. And I also went to Longmeadow High School before most of it was demolished and the school was added onto with new structure. We believe that building a new middle school centralized is a smart choice for Longmeadow. Our children deserve the best learning environment possible. A new middle school would provide tools, spaces, and opportunities our current facilities cannot. The current buildings fall short of modern teaching standards, including classroom size. The classrooms are undersized and lack dedicated STEAM space. Williams needs modular classrooms and has no fire suppression system. Glenbrook's open floor plan lacks key security features. One unified school improves coordination of teaching, electives, and extracurriculars, expanding offerings and eliminating redundancies. A larger, more connected student body fosters stronger peer networks, clubs, and activities. First-class education prepares our future leaders, innovators, and skilled workers who will strengthen our community and economy. Reliable transportation timing with busing from other parts of town that are further than walking distance will provide reliable timing for working parents. I am a parent of a rising 3rd grader and rising 6th grader. I know from all of my friends who are working parents and need to get to work on time that busing is a solution that they have been looking for. This is an opportunity. I see it from so many different directions as a former student, as a parent, as a neighbor to the Williams Middle School site. It's an opportunity, and I think the school building committee has been open about communication. Marty has been open and transparent. Nothing has been secretive. I've been attending things since the very beginning. I felt a part of it, and I didn't see this as the direction it was going, but I'm thrilled with the progress that's been made. Thank you.
Thank you, Select Board members and the Town Manager for your time. My name is Ryan McCullum. I live at 12 Longmeadow Street with my wife, Maureen. We've been in town for 9 years with our daughter, Esme, who's 5, and will be in kindergarten at Center School. We're really excited for next week when she starts. And she's one of the reasons we moved to Longmeadow. Before she was alive, she's one of the reasons we moved to Longmeadow. So I wanted to follow up on Cameron's remarks as to why building one new middle school is a smart choice for Longmeadow. First, it's smart fiscally. Investing in one state-of-the-art middle school now is far wiser in the short, mid, and long term than continuing to pour money into 2 aging buildings. The state funds new construction with much more generously than renovations. When we bond out for this money and we borrow for new construction, it strengthens our bond rating. Our bond rating doesn't get strengthened the same way for renovation bonds. Renovating both outdated, out-of-code schools would actually cost more and still leave half of our students with fewer opportunities. And consolidation saves us money on transportation, maintenance, utilities, and even food services. Secondly, again, we're lucky. I'm lucky to have Esme. We're lucky to have a child who might go to this new middle school if it passes. But civically, for everybody in the community, it's a smart choice. Long Meadow is known for its excellent schools, a reputation that strengthens our whole community and our property values. A new middle school sends a clear message that we value education and invest in our future. There's no specific evidence that replacing 2 outdated schools with 1 modern school lowers property values. If anything, the opposite is true. You can't apply national market statistics to a hyper-local market, especially if you're misconstruing the stats and backing them in. We will have more about that in the future, because I know that's a contention, and we've been digging in and looking really at the numbers. Regardless, a new school keeps Long Meadow at the top of the region. It benefits us all. It also shows our kids that we prioritize their growth and their future. This decision is both fiscally responsible and civically smart. It's the right move for our town, our property values, and most importantly, our children. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else live who'd like to speak?
Good evening. I wasn't planning on speaking concerning this middle school project, but...
Could you please introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. Richard Bontempo, Glenwood Circle, in town. A native, born and raised here. Recently retired from teaching middle school and high school and some college level courses. And a feeder pattern at the middle school level, when both different schools hit 9th grade, there's a lot of social achievement that is being lost as the students get to know each other from different ends of town. There are different academic achievement because the students are more interested in making friends that they haven't met before, or perhaps occasionally. But a consolidated middle school keeps all the students together. You don't lose that 9th grade when they all come in together and don't know everybody. And to save them from having to do that, they grow up with them from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And when they get to the high school, there's more learning that's going to happen. There's more social and academic achievement going to happen. And we're talking about students. Yes, I know it's our children, but students has to come first. And children are very resilient, as are parents. The parents in this town will make sure that they get to school, and the students will, and perhaps with carpooling and so on, different sides of the town can come together and get to know each other. Because when it's separated, it's just what it is, separated. When they come up together, then there's less interruption when they get to 9th grade, more time to learn and less to get socially acceptable. Thank you very much.
Anyone else live? We'll have you speak during your application. If you'd like. Nobody else live? And do we have anybody online? Okay.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. We're moving on next to interviews and appointments. And we have first an applicant. Sorry?
Yeah, so there was Anthony Martin, applicant for the Board of Assessors, was mistakenly listed under the appointment schedule. So if we're flowing in order of the alphabetical order, he would be first for interview for the Board of Assessors.
Looks like audit, right?
What about, we have a whole page of interviews before that. Oh, assessors before audit?
Right, yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's just the way it lists on the
You
list.
threw me off.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
He wasn't interviewed.
Yes.
I see.
So that was the only correction
Okay.
from this memo, is that Anthony Martin should be at the top of the list for interviews instead of being on the appointment memo.
Gotcha, okay. He's still under appointments.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
It wasn't a memo, yeah.
Okay. Is Mr. Martin here?
Here.
Oh, could you please come on up to the front? Mr. Martin, could you introduce yourself, name and address?
Yes, my name's Anthony Martin. I live at 44 Brookside Drive.
Okay, and what interests you about the Board of Assessors?
Currently, I am a realtor. I was licensed in 2005. I've been looking for opportunities personally to get involved community-wise. Prior to working real estate full-time, I was a construction worker in Local 6 out of Boston. The territory is huge. I've traveled most of this region, working in construction for about the past 13 years. So I finally got off the road and working in real estate field full-time.
Have you made yourself familiar with what the Board of Assessors does?
Somewhat. I did get a bit of a introduction from, I believe her name's Maria.
Okay, so you've spoken with the town assessor?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, any questions from the rest of the board? Okay, and well, that's great. I thank you for your interest, and anything you want to ask us while you have us? Sometimes get that.
Not necessarily. I wish I had attended one of these meetings previously.
They're not usually like this.
I've been in town for about 7 years now, personally. My wife and I, we moved to Longmeadow primarily because of the educational system. At the time, they were top 10, I believe, in terms of public school system. So she gave me a couple options, and I said, you know what?
Well, Mr. Martin, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming in, your interest.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, and next up for the audit committee, do we have Mr. Scott? Okay, introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, Cliff Scott, 797 Long Meadow Street.
Okay. And you're a familiar face. You were on a different board, I see.
I have interviewed with you before,
Okay.
Historic District Commission, and since that interview learned that I've termed out of that, and I cannot serve any longer in that capacity without taking a break.
Interesting.
2 consecutive 3-year terms. is the
Okay.
limit.
Well, I appreciate you looking into something else. What interests you about the audit committee?
Well, I'm having termed out from the Historic District Commission. I'm interested, continue to be interested in serving the town in some capacity. I think it's good to be engaged with what's going on in the town, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that. In reviewing, what vacancies the town has, I ran across the audit committee and have read through the roles and responsibilities of the committee, and I think my background fit nicely with that.
What is your background?
I have, my entire professional career has been in, accounting and finance, logistics, and things of that nature, general management, and so audits have been something that I've done, in 35 years of professional experience. Auditing is a regular recurring event in my life, and so it's something that oddly some would enjoy.
Any questions from the rest of the board? All right, well, we appreciate your interest in serving the town elsewhere, and thank you very much for coming in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I just have to say, Cliff has been the chair of the Historic District Commission for the last several years as well, and he's done an excellent job. So
Thank you.
it's a big loss on that committee for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your past service as well. All right, we have 2 applicants for the Conservation Commission, Richard McAuliffe and Kiernan Mulcahy.
Okay. Is okay on that? Yeah, we'll have to reschedule.
Okay. And then we have a couple applications for the Cultural Council. Kimberly Ketchum, who I think I just saw online, and Caitlin Cronin.
Not promote the panels. Promote the panels.
And we don't have Caitlin yet? Oh, okay, you can, please come up.
Okay. I'm Caitlin Cronin, 206 Colony Road. I'm currently on the Cultural Council, currently the chair. I'm applying for reappointment.
Oh, thank you for that. And Kim?
Hi, I'm Kimberly Ketchum. I live at 220 Twin Hills Drive, and I am applying for a role on the Cultural Council.
Caitlin, how long have you been on the board?
I think this is my 6th year, so this would be my third time interviewing. I will probably term out at some point, so that's part of my role as chair, to make sure new people come in and we keep ourselves full and keep it fresh.
Great. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. Any particular projects you've done that you are proud of, or that you like working on?
Well, under the former chair's leadership, we survived the pandemic, which was hard for programming. So I'm really proud that as a team we did that and cleared the backlog of old grants that we had to get through. A lot of things were deferred and delayed. So we're now transitioning from the state 18-month cycle to the 12-month cycle. So if you're applying for a grant and we're funding it, it has to be something town members can attend. So in the past, you could apply to something that had already occurred. We changed our priorities and guidelines. You can only apply to something that's upcoming. So within the town, the town is 12 months within the state's 18-month guideline. We also made sure everything was online, so we reduced the volume of paper coming in. You could submit your application online. You could submit your reimbursement online.
Great.
So.
Thank you for your work and your continued interest. Kim, what interests you about the Cultural Council?
Well, my background, I think, first and foremost interests me. I was also invited by one of my friends, Katie McGonigal. She's the library director in East Longmeadow and a resident of Longmeadow. We met working at the library, and in the time that I've known her, I've become a professional librarian myself, and I currently work in Bloomfield, Connecticut as the library business coordinator for those public libraries.
Great. And so you've talked about the duties that you would have with Katie?
Yes, I have. I also believe that in my time as the administrative assistant to the director of the Longmeadow Library, Jean Maziarz, I helped with some grants that the adult librarian had received from the Cultural Council.
Great. Any questions? Okay.
I have any.
Well, I was talking to the board, but thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say thank you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you both coming in, and thank you very much. To anyone listening, we will vote at a future meeting. We don't vote tonight on appointments. All right. Ms. Ryder, for the Historic District Commission.
Hi there.
Oh, I missed one. We'll go back to that. Sorry, thanks.
I can sit down again.
Oh, yeah, why don't we stay in order?
God forbid, don't want to go out of order.
No, Andrew called me. DI Advisory Committee, we have Amelia De Silva. Hi, could you state your name and address?
Sure, Amelia De Silva, 129 Normandy Road.
Okay, and what interests you about the DEI Advisory Committee?
I'm a rising senior at LHS, and last year, me and my friend, we started a new club at the school called Children's Humanitarian Aid Club, and we aim to provide equal education opportunities for kids in our community. So that includes kids, we're trying to aim for all of Western Mass, right? So, but currently we're focused on Springfield. And we met with Representative Brian Ash, and if funding goes through, we're hoping to get around $50K to fund a free summer camp for kids in Springfield next year, about 20 to 30 kids. And throughout that journey, that took us about 4 or 5 months just to do all that work, and we're still planning it out. We're still working on it, but throughout that journey, I realized I really do believe in equal access for kids, no matter who they are, where they come from, what their background is. And my neighbor, Tammy Erb, I believe she's on the board of the DEI committee. She encouraged me to apply for the position just based off of my passion because she knows about this project that we've been planning. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Very impressive.
Thank you.
We appreciate you wanting to spend your time with the town as well. Thank you very much. Any questions from the board? Yeah, it's hard to get on that. That's great. Good for you. So thank you very much for your interest, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Connie, sorry about that. Come on up.
I want to go on record. I am sorry I'm following her. All right. Connie Ryder, 681 Converse Street.
And you're on another board as well, right?
No, this is it.
Oh, okay.
Unless that was my evil twin.
No, okay. Maybe. All right. Please tell us why you applied for the Historic District Commission.
So actually, this is a reappointment.
I thought so. Okay, that's what I meant.
That's why. So it wasn't the evil twin option.
The agenda,
No.
the agenda is wrong every once in a while.
And
Okay.
so life got crazy, and in the flurry of emails back and forth, I think there was some confusion as to whether I was showing up or showing up again.
Okay.
And so I'm really here again.
Well, thank you for coming back.
Happy to be here.
What have you done in your term, what have you seen happen on the Historic District Commission?
So I've seen Cliff work really hard. But the latest thing, or one of the more all the projects are interesting, of course. I'm nosy. I like to see what people are doing to their properties. I'm a realtor. Tony, I'm a realtor also. And so the most recent newer thing are the accessory dwelling units. And so I worked with Andrea on just drafting a document to give some guidelines, which right now is a bit bare bones. It's kind of like refer to this committee or that committee or the other, because it's all still fairly new. In my position as a realtor at the local real estate association, I'm on the professional development committee, and so we're just now taking a closer look at, like, what does that really mean certainly in terms of historical district. So it's really, I think, too much early days. It seems like really simple, but it's not. So that's going to be interesting coming up. And then as far as what I kind of contribute is the kind of a reminder. You want to adhere to standards, historical standards. You want things to look as they should and so on. But there's also that thought process of how does it look on a trotting horse? You know, because sometimes on historical commissions we can get maybe too much, too rigid. And so, you know, is it in keeping and so on? And just kind of bringing that perspective without getting too crazy, I think is something I've brought to the commission, actually. Aside from, you know, just kind of general real estate, when necessary, you know, statistics or whatever, when issues come up. But, you know, it's so far, or my first term anyway, it really has been, I have to say it's been an easy ride. The people come in, they're prepared, haven't seen anything crazy. I mean, it's been great to work with the residents of the town and with the committee as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, thank you very much.
All
I
right,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
And finally, we have two applicants for the Recycling Commission, Susan Shepard and Richard Bontempo. Oh, yeah, come on up. You can both come at the same time. You can each just sit at a microphone.
Okay.
Or you can pull that one over. Okay, why don't you please introduce yourself, and you're both new applicants, is that right?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all right. I'm Susan Shepard. I live on 58 Emerson Road, and I've been on the Recycling Commission for the past couple of years, and I'd like to continue on it. I think the distribution of the recycling containers was very impressive to watch, and we worked with DPW and answered people's questions, and I recognize there are a lot of concerns with new things, but I think it's gone pretty smoothly, but I think that will be something that continues to evolve over this next year.
That was a big undertaking for a town commission of volunteers, and I think you all did a great job. I know that
DPW did most of it, but it's
you did a lot of thinking, you did a lot of communication, so we do appreciate that, and I like my new bins.
They're pretty.
I went with the right size, but it was a doozy. Okay, thank you. And Mr. Bontempo.
Yes, Richard Bontempo, Glenwood Circle. I am not on the recycling commission yet, but I have extensive knowledge of recycling during my 33 years of a science teacher. If the school didn't have a recycling program, I implemented one, and if they did, I tried to improve it. Had the nickname Recycle Man way back in '97 from my students, because I'd always be keeping my recycling, and it was newer back then, and now there's a lot more people on board. I believe there's a lot more we can do. So that's why I'm applying for the position of Recycling Commission. Thank you.
Being Recycle Man is a good answer. Any questions from the rest of the board? No? Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate both of your interest and everyone who applied. There will be a vote on your applications at a future meeting, as I said. And I think next up we are voting on appointments.
Very good, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So I will, I'll move that we appoint Derek Parr, Candace Serafino, Judy Yaffe, Saul Feinstone, and Don Duncan to 3-year terms on the Council on Aging expiring on June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on those appointments? No? Seeing none? Peggy, roll call vote, please.
Roll call. Denise?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. I will make a motion to appoint Matt Casale, Douglas Taylor, and Andrew Kaniska to 3-year terms on the Energy and Sustainability Committee expiring on June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Any further discussion? And I will just, I will pipe in a bit here. Anytime we don't vote to put someone back on a committee, I like to give some explanation. Ms. Tarani, is very smart and accomplished. It's clear, and I am just was taken aback by the town meeting comments on the geothermal heating for the new middle school project. I've done some research into it and I've talked to some people, and I think that is a retrograde thought, and I'm not a scientist, but I think that it is not in lockstep with what the Energy and Sustainability Committee is doing. So I just want to give that explanation. Anybody else? No? Okay. Peggy?
Denise?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And Shelley?
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay.
I will move to appoint Jane Crosby to a 3-year term on the Historic District Commission, set to expire on June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Anything further? All, Peggy?
Denise?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll move to appoint Henry Robinson to a 3-year term on the Parks and Rec Commission, set to expire on June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Anything further? All those in favor, roll. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Denise?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay. And I'll move to appoint Travis Lynch to the 5-year term on the Zoning Board of Appeals, set to expire on June 30th, 2030.
Second.
Anything further? Peggy?
Denise?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
And I'll move to appoint Peter Galucci to the non-voting 3-year term on the Zoning Board of Appeals set to expire on June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Any further?
Vinnie?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for all the motions, Vineeth, appreciate it. We're now moving on to select board comments. Anybody like to speak? No? Vineeth, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to really quickly comment on the distressing news that we found out last week about a Longmeadow Public School employee. We've heard a range of emotions expressed by town residents and school staff, and I share many of those same emotions and reactions, emotions of disgust, of anger, and also of some confusion. And I think, as we're kind of taking a look at all of this, I do want to make sure that we take a moment to thank the FBI and law enforcement who worked very quickly and coordinated across states and different agencies to investigate and to bring charges. I think some of you may know that I used to work at the FBI and worked alongside agents and analysts that work these types of cases, and I know how difficult these cases can be for a whole range of reasons, and the fact that they were able to do this so quickly is really remarkable. And I think also if these charges had been brought during the school year, this also would have felt very different, and I feel fortunate that this happened before a new school year could start, and that we weren't putting more, or we weren't putting more students, perhaps, in some type of harm's way. I also know that at the meeting that was put together last Thursday, that the superintendent announced that there was going to be an independent investigation, and I fully support that independent investigation. Whenever something of this magnitude occurs, I think it's important to take a look back, look through everything that happened, and make sure that nothing was missed, so that we can learn from what happened. And also, if something was missed, that folks are held accountable for that. So I fully support that this independent investigation is moving forward. And then also, this is obviously unprecedented for our town, and I encourage everyone in our community that has questions, that needs to seek resources, that have comments to make, to please do that, because that is the only way that we are going to be able to navigate this together as a community, and come through on the other side.
Well, thank you, Vineeth. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's been a really distressing week for the town, and a lot of folks that are involved in the school, and a lot of students, including my elementary school students and my rising middle schooler, having to learn about these things from it happening in your town is a really hard situation to be in, and I want to commend what the superintendent's office is doing with offering therapy drop-in sessions tomorrow or Wednesday at the schools, and doing what they can to make sure that kids are able to process this and get through and go back to school, and knowing that something terrible could have happened, did happen, and so just thank you for everything you said. I agree that things moved really quickly from what I understand, and I'm really grateful it did. And we're going to keep finding out more. The investigation is going to be a long time, and more things will probably come out. But to get the first strike and make sure that he has been removed from the schools, I think was really important. So thank you to everyone who's been involved in that. I also wanted to touch on, a couple weeks ago, there was the Eversource pipeline listening session that was in downtown Springfield. Very well attended. It was in a room that you could not believe how many Eversource employees were there. There was computers everywhere. They know that this is a big project for them, and they were loaded to bear. but they were still dwarfed by a lot of people from Springfield and a lot of people from Longmeadow, and there was a lot of people attending online as well. I know Andrew was watching online. It was, I think from what we had first heard, and we're touching on this later in the agenda, but they're kind of changing tack from, at first it was, we have to, if something happens to Memorial Bridge, people will lose service. Now it's anywhere along the line, if somebody's digging, they may interrupt service, and they want to make sure that the 40,000 people that would be affected have gas during cold times. And I think that may make sense, but as Lynn sent me a letter that we approved in 2023, saying that if this project needs to be done, we'd like to see it justified. And I don't know if we're there, but I will tell you, environmental aside, everything else aside, this is going to cost a fortune. The latest estimate they give us is $85 million. It was originally 45, then it was 60, now it's 85. And I heard a lot of things that were questionable at the listening session, but we were told it would be $1.25 per customer per bill, and that'll pay for it over the course of time. I just don't buy it. I think that we're going to keep seeing that, and this may make financial sense for Eversource, but for us in town who got massive heating bills last year, it's really, I hope they need to justify it, and I know the state knows that, but it was really, they got a lot of tough questions at the listening session. I know they had to do it, but I'm so glad it was done, because we heard from a lot of good people at that. Anybody else? No? Online? Okay. Moving right on to town manager's report. Lynn?
Thank you. So regarding sidewalk restoration and reconstruction, the DPW has gone out to bid for the work with a goal of starting in September. This will be a one-year contract with an on-call option. The sidewalks slated for restoration work first include Tanglewood, Concord, and Salem, and spot repairs in several other locations. The estimated amount of work is $800,000. In an update on the Bliss Park Playground, in October of 2024, I had announced the town's award of the Land and Water Conservation Grant to add ADA amenities to Bliss Park and renovate the playground to increase accessibility for visitors of all ages and abilities. The grant funds became available with the start of this new fiscal year. A contract has been signed for the new playground and associated amenities. Equipment has a 6-month lead time, and we also need to bid for demolition of the current structure. Once a construction schedule and installation timeline is available, I'll provide that update here. Longmeadow Street TIP project. This is the Route 5 and Converse Street Road resurfacing intersection improvement project, so the first one that we've talked about. They received bids on August 5th. The low bidder was Moray's Contractors at $9,755,991. The project includes intersection improvements at the intersections of Converse Street and Laurel Street, Converse Street and Longmeadow Street, and Longmeadow Street and Forest Glen Western Drive. Improvements include new and improved turn lanes, traffic signal reconstruction, and work also consists of improved bicycle and pedestrian accommodations, new signage and pavement markings. Once we have a construction schedule finalized by the contractor, we'll share that information. Longmeadow Street Phase 1. DPW Engineering has been in contact with MassDOT regarding Longmeadow Street Phase 1. As a brief reminder, this is the project from Converse Street to Crescent Road, and I'll get into that in a minute. We learned that this project was likely to advance a year, so advertisement could possibly be around July 2026. And if this is the case, that we anticipate warrant articles at the November 2025 town meeting regarding easements and waterline design to keep us ahead of schedule. MassDOT expects to have 75% design plans ready in November of 2025. As a reminder, this was a project that the DPW sought funds for design last year, almost exactly a year ago, in anticipation of moving forward. Because of DPW's proactive design work, our project is situated to move forward faster than originally anticipated. MassDOT held a 25% design public hearing May 8th at Greenwood Center. It was moderately well attended. We had done individual invitations to every abutter along the project area. And at the time of that hearing, it was stated that the project would cost approximately $11 million and was going to be advertised for construction in the fall of '27. So again, this project area is from Converse Street to Crescent Road and includes modifications of signalized intersections and improvements at Edgewood Avenue, Bliss Road, and Birney Road. The roadway improvements include pavement mill and overlay with minor full-depth widening, curbing, pavement markings, signage, road restoration, and vegetation clearing. And as I had already said, all abutters had been sent postcards with an invitation to attend that design public hearing in May. Chapter 90 funding. With the passage and signing of the transportation bond bill, Longmeadow will receive more Chapter 90 money than originally anticipated. In FY 2025, we received $609,000. With this increase for FY 26, we are set to receive $1,025,164, yielding an increase of $415,650. DPW will use these funds to continue to chip away at the backlog of road resurfacing work. They're continuing to work off the existing pavement management plan, targeting larger, more well-traveled roads. The Bay Path pilot agreement, unfortunately this is not good news, but the FY 2025 pilot payment from Bay Path has been paused. Traditionally, the town receives the payment in May. We did not receive the FY 2025 payment in May this year. This will have an impact on our revenue projections that we made for 25, and it will lower our free cash. The pilot agreements with Bay Path had been updated in the spring of 2024 that were to carry us from FY 25 to FY 27. There is no recourse for this. Pilot payments are completely voluntary. And just so it's clear, the pause was Bay Path's notification to the town that they would not be making that payment. The municipal aggregation program closed. The opt-out date was July 19th. I have a chart in my report showing the numbers of the breakdowns of the different tiered groups. The largest group is the Longmeadow Standard. We have 3,668 enrolled participants in that. Direct Energy is still processing about 903 opt-outs. Small number of accounts are still being processed, and Direct Energy is working with the utility to address a few of the remaining rejections. So I'll provide further updates on that we receive from Good Energy. The recycling bin drop-off has been taking place Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays at the Emerson Road Pump Station. However, beginning Wednesday this week, August 20th, the drop-off location will be changing. So anyone with unwanted recycling bins and totes will be dropping off at the recycling center on Pondside Road. DPW will have signage in place directing residents to this new location.
Thank you.
The high school pool, a bid had been put out for electrical work needed at the pool. Unfortunately, we only received one bid, and it came in much higher than we had funding for. The estimate provided by our engineering firm at the time that we used their estimate to prepare our warrant article was $80,000. We planned at that point what we thought was a healthy contingency of $150,000, and that was approved at the town meeting in May of 2025. Unfortunately, with that bid response in July, the amount that was bid was $376,000. The bid was put back out to see if we could receive additional responses and get a better result that would be within our budget. The second round of bids came in August 7th. The only bidder was Connecticut Custom Aquatics at $360,000. They were not the bidder the first time around. Obviously, this is higher than we had funding for, but we do not want to go back out to bid again, as it will delay the ability for us to get the work done for the pool to open for the swim season. So I've authorized DPW to use other funding lines in their FY26 budget to come up with the additional $210,000 needed to sign the contract. And at the November 4th, 2025 town meeting, I will have a warrant article using free cash, assuming that the select board sets the warrant with that article on it, needed to replenish those DPW lines that are going to be used to sign this contract to get this pool work done. Moving ahead right now ensures that we'll be able to complete the work with the least impact on the high school swim team as possible. some pool updates and chat and splash announcement. Reynolds Pool at Bliss Park opened on July 31st. With that opening, I kicked off a new series called Chat and Splash, where I will hold office hours at each pool. I've done this now twice, once at Reynolds and once at Greenwood, and my last one is scheduled for tomorrow, August 19th, at Reynolds Pool at 3 p.m. It's open to anyone. You do not have to pay the pool entrance just to come and attend this program. It's just an opportunity to ask questions, bring a topic of concern, or just hear about what's going on in town. And with the late opening of Reynolds Pool and the reality that late August and early September have trended warmer the last few years, we are exploring keeping both pools open past the traditional mid-August closing date. When I publicized this report, we didn't have that announcement solidified yet, but Parks and Rec has announced that the pools will be open. Greenwood will be open through Labor Day weekend, closing on Monday, September 1st. And Bliss Park Reynolds Pool will be open that same schedule, and then will be open the first 2 weekends in September. And they've also announced a really fun program. Once Greenwood Park Pool is closed, there is a swim opportunity for your dogs. So if you have interest in that, check it out on the Parks and Rec website. We also are gearing up for the second round of work that's needed at Reynolds Pool. That request for proposals will be released in the next few weeks. This includes the new liner, ADA decking work, and remaining electrical and filtration work will start over the late fall. And two more updates. Road resurfacing updates. Caracas Construction has nearly completed all of its drainage work. Mill and overlay for Shaker Road's ongoing. Grassy gutter has been completed with resurfacing. Resurfacing on Shaker has begun and should be completed sometime this week. Also this week, resurfacing on Long Meadow Street will happen. Further resurfacing on Emerson, Bel Air, Twin Hills, a portion of Canterbury, and Cooley will continue in August and September. Obviously, it's all schedule is subject to change based on the weather, and all of these updates are available on the DPW website, their specific road resurfacing page. And lastly, a traffic study for the Colvest parcel on the corner of Redfern and Williams. An independent traffic study was required by the planning board for the redevelopment of that parcel. The DPW solicited quotes for this work, and a contract was signed with Pear Corporation in the amount of $31,000, and this will be paid by Colvest. The traffic study consists of turning movement counts during morning commute, 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., and afternoon commute, 4 to 6 p.m. There's a list of the intersections where this will take place, and an automatic traffic recorder will be placed on William Street west of Redfern and Frank Smith to gather a bunch of data. And then once this report is done, it will be brought back to the planning board for consideration with the site design application. And then this is the very last thing. It was not in my report, but I do want to call out, in the DPW's monthly report, they do have information about the substantial number of water main breaks that we had in July in early August, and I would encourage you to go look at that. But we did have 5, I thought it might have been 6, but maybe it was only 5 breaks between July 11th and August 6th. And what's really important to point out was these were directly attributed to the system being overtaxed by heavy irrigation usage. And as people already know, areas of our system are already in need of replacement. They are brittle and old, and when you put significant pressure on our system, they are prone to breaking. If we do have another hot, dry period, the only option to lower the risk of breaks would be to use water restrictions, which could include rotating irrigation dates. And DPW is also taking this into account while they undertake paving operations and these other roads that I had listed in the road resurfacing update. Because heavy trucks and equipment on milled road surfaces can also lead us to more breaks. DPW has instructed the paving contractor to limit vibratory rolling in the areas where water mains are of concern, so that we have less chance of failure. But during the DPW report later on tonight, Sean can go into more detail on why limiting vibratory rolling has other impacts in other areas later on. So I'll defer to Sean to explain that in more detail. But that concludes my report tonight. Thank you.
You don't want to keep going a little bit?
Sorry, it's a long one.
Thank you, Lynn. Question. Why do you think we missed so badly on the LHS pool estimate? Do you think that we didn't really understand what was wrong, or is this really a situation where it's so specialized? I see Sean, you can jump in and explain to us why, because it's a significant miss, right?
Yeah.
So, did we not understand what needed to be fixed, or is there just, go ahead, yeah.
So, having discussions, Sean May, using DPW director. So, discussions with the contractors that bid and some follow-up conversations with engineers, I think that there was a significant amount of unknowns involving the bonding process, including shipping out and digging into the concrete. And from the bidder's perspective, all those unknowns, which there were several, they had to assume worst case scenario, and so they bid it as if it was the worst case scenario. I do think there was probably some mistakes in the engineering as well, but a combination of some bad guesses in the engineering part and some unknowns in terms of what the base of that concrete was and what the contractor was going to tie into, and it's a little bit more detailed, but there was assumptions about rebar, there was assumptions about the footings underneath some of the diving boards, and all of those were explained to me that the contractor was unwilling to risk without bidding excessively to make sure their butt was covered.
So can I ask a follow-up? Are you saying that the contractor, of course, made a very conservative bid because they don't know what's under the
Correct.
But does that mean if they find out, for example, it's in our favor, that it's not as bad as they think, that we won't be?
Correct. We're going to do better on the construction if things go our way, and we would not pay that full price.
But we'll be on site to monitor if there are assumptions that the engineer made that the unknowns that go in our favor, we will come in better than that price, but we can't guarantee it.
And when you
but you said it's the worst case scenario on all fronts, so
yeah, the contractor's not going to take any risk. So if there's any unknowns that the engineers left and they can't do exploratory digging in the concrete or whatever, the contractor said, we're going to assume the worst case scenario, because if it goes bad for us, we are on a timeline and we're going to be worried, and we might have to hire a contractor. There might be tile work that falls apart that we have to hire a specialized tile person to put back together, or maybe we can't get some piece of this diving board, and so they assume the worst.
And for those who don't know, so the exact problem is simple maintenance or something broke, or
Could have
the
been
electrical system?
We don't know yet. So the
What's not working, I
the
guess?
bonding tests show that the pool isn't grounded. So we don't know where exactly the bond's broken. Maybe it's a simple fix that's not going to require much, but the plan to get it to definitely pass required a plan with the engineers, and there was assumptions made by those engineers, and those assumptions had a high degree of risk in terms of the repair work for the contractor.
And this started last year. There was inspections done last year when they were getting the pool up to fill and tested, and there were leaks. So that was the first round of fix. And then when they went to button that up, they realized the bonding issue.
We thought this was going to be a $10,000 fix. And then once we started to get into it, it kept growing until finally we said, stop, we gotta get an engineer to do the plans, and here you go.
Because once you get to a certain monetary threshold, we can't just keep going. We have to then go out to bid.
So
this was a pre-existing pool?
Yes.
And they renovated
So the engineers have standards they have to meet with their design, and they're going to make sure that they're covered, and they're going to do their detailed plan, and with that there comes some unknowns because they don't know what's.
And if this was done wrong, it's dangerous.
Correct. So we do need to make sure it's fixed, and so everyone's doing their job, but obviously the price is reflective of that.
The only one bid, but did many people look at it, and why do you think there was only one bid? Is it
Lots of
because
people
it's
look
too
at it.
complicated,
There's only a few qualified contractors in this area.
Is this similar to the Reynolds pool problem?
Yes, then they're going to be similar contractors. We have really one or two. So there's a premium in terms of the work as well.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they probably know that they're very
they do.
specialized. Thank you for keeping your eye on that.
Josh.
I just have Lynn, I have a quick question regarding the original estimate for the bid. Do we normally work with that engineering firm that gave us the bid that was so off, or who was it that helped us get that original estimate?
So this was a firm that was known to us. We hadn't worked with them a lot. They had done, this I think was their second project with
So
us.
they're
Okay.
AECOM, so they're actually one of the largest engineering firms in the world. They're also one of the only ones that would call back to help us with the project. So, yeah.
Okay, because I was asking, I was wondering if we would ever use them again, and I was just wondering why we went with that particular company, because it was so off with the estimate, but sounds like it's a specialized group and they're one of the few. Is that what I heard?
I think, yeah. There were
Okay.
with Bliss Pool, I'd reached out to several firms, and almost no one was interested in giving us a proposal. I do think after this project concludes and Bliss will be doing a sort of a post-mortem to see where mistakes were made and kind of learn from it. But we're in it now.
I
So.
think that's great. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Lynn, I had a few things I wanted to ask about. On the Chapter 90 funds, that's fantastic, obviously. Is this, just remind us, for everyone listening, this is not a past results guarantee future,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Chapter 90, I know there was a concerted effort at the state level to get more Chapter 90 money out, right?
Yes, so there's the traditional formula, which is what municipalities have been arguing about because it unfairly skews it. And then there were 2 different formulas that were added on that I think shows why we did better, because a lot of Western Mass communities end up not doing as well as Eastern Mass communities, or more rural places don't do as well either.
So next year, we're not planning on, we're not going to budget for 1.1 million. Are we going to go back to the old formula?
We will take a conservative approach, and we'll probably budget around that 600,000, which is also a higher number than it's been in the last 5-10 years.
Right. Okay. On the Bay Path pilot, I remember when I first got on the board, we talked about this a lot. And it's voluntary. It's disappointing to lose it. Have you made any inroads with talking? Is anybody we can talk to over there?
I have an email out that I don't have a response back on yet,
Okay.
but certainly with the uncertainty in higher education and federal funding, that was the premise for their pause.
Can I comment on that for a second?
Yes, please.
I was also very disappointed that Bay Path wasn't able to contribute as they normally would. However, I think my perspective is a little bit ambivalent. I was a trustee of Bay Path, and I was on their finance committee, and I don't think it's a surprise to anybody how challenging this current environment is for small colleges. Like, we see colleges basically folding or being acquired and things like that, and I think Bay Path is a very important institution in town, and I admire what they're doing and their mission, but I think that I know that they have a commitment to Longmeadow, and even though we're disappointed they can't give us this contribution this year, I'm pretty sure that it's for a good reason, but I'm certainly hopeful that they will consider giving it again next year, like reinstating it basically. So.
And they do pay property taxes on some properties that are not part of the program,
yeah.
right? And then there's still a voluntary police and fire payment. Is that right?
They make annual donation to the
Yeah.
police and fire department.
So echoing.
Yeah.
It's not nothing, but I do hope it comes back. I agree with you. And just one comment on the municipal aggregation. I'm a little surprised at the number of opt-outs, although it does tell me that our outreach work, people knew when they could opt out, what needed to be done, and not just the opt-out, people chose different levels. So our outreach worked, and I'm always glad to see that. Maybe our education didn't work, because I think if people maybe wouldn't have opted out if they thought of it the same way we do. But I just wanted to give you kudos that it did work, and people knew that there was a deadline and were able to follow it. So nice job on that. And I did one more thing on irrigation. If we do have to take a pretty drastic step of limiting irrigation, which I know we did a few years ago, where we have the bylaw in place at least to do it because we were having trouble with the water tower. What is if we did want to do something like that, what is the enforcement for like alternating irrigation on the street, like opposite sides? How do we do that?
So it would primarily be water department staff, but if I recall, I believe code enforcement can assist.
Okay.
I think we wrote it.
'Cause we don't have a massive
that
water
way.
department
We do not.
staff. Yeah,
Right.
okay. All right, thank you, Lynn. Anybody, oh, Dan, go ahead.
Thank you. Lynn, really appreciate walking through a very long report. Appreciate all. In particular, the pools, I did want to comment just in terms of, I had attended the splash and chat, and it was nice to speak to some residents, get their feedback, and nice to know Lynn and the Parks Department also is trying to be creative here with, an unfortunate pool season, in particular over at Bliss, just a shortened season. So thanks for the creativity and extending the season. I think that's a great idea, especially bringing the furry friends along in the fall. So that should be fun. One question I did have that we didn't really talk much about from your report is the sidewalks. So I certainly can understand we're fixing and making repairs of existing sidewalks, but for someone like myself who spent a lot of time canvassing the community, running for public office, there's many instances, many streets I can just think of, Mass Ave, for example, on the south end of town, Crescent Road, and some others where literally you'll be walking on a sidewalk and it just disappears in terms of it doesn't continue on to finish the sidewalk. And when speaking to some of those residents, they were confused as to why they just all of a sudden stopped building the rest of the sidewalk. And if we're going to continue to put money on existing sidewalks, I think that we should be finishing some of these projects, or listening to the residents that are concerned about their property, where they literally have a sidewalk that just stops in the middle of their existing land. So something to think about, and maybe Sean could comment on that, but it is very weird to just see that a sidewalk ends and then we're repairing all the other sidewalks that exist. So I would just like to see some of those projects have more attention, because the residents also do want to, see those projects finished. But that's really all that I had to say based on some of the other comments.
Thanks, Dan. Beneath?
Yeah, thank you. Lynn, thanks for the long report. Just a few things. Thank you for taking the actions that you did with the Long Meadow High School pool. I think is the right call, and we do not want to impact another high school swim season, so thank you for doing that. I also share the frustration about the pilot programs. I know that this is, oftentimes before it felt like the pilot payments were not enough, and now to not even receive any. I understand that there's bigger forces at play and that this is an anomaly, but the whole pilot structure has been, disadvantageous for towns, and it's been a source of frustration. And I know that Mayor Garcia and Holyoke has been talking about ideas to maybe push legislatively for changes for this, and I think that this is also something that maybe we should be thinking about as well. And kind of related to that, the Chapter 90 funding is great news, and I think underscores the importance of having good relationships with legislators, because this Chapter 90 funding increase was really driven by the Western Mass delegation, and what we saw as how we were getting shortchanged out here. And I know that Rep. Mike Finn out of West Springfield really pushed for this, and then as well as our own delegation with Senator Oliveira and Rep. Ash, and and this was great to see. Also, just it seems, I don't want to speak too soon, but it seems like we're getting some good news with these TIP projects on Long Meadow Street, and these projects getting moved up. And I thank Sean and Lynn for really being on top of this and kind of having us prepared for these TIP projects. We were able to do these water mains before the L project because you all came to us and told us about how there was a short window to get this done, because obviously we don't want to have the state spend all this money and use all this resources to redo these streets and have 100-year-old water mains underneath them breaking and then us having to go back and redo those streets. And I think it's going to be absolutely important for us to be doing that in advance of the next phase on Long Meadow Street as well, especially with such a busy street that so many folks use. We need to get this right. And then finally, the Bliss Park playground design looks great. I think all of us that have had, kids go and play at our elementary school playgrounds, you watch them play there for 2 or 3 minutes, you see how big of a difference it makes, and just how important that was. And now to be able to offer that in our, central town playground is going to be, I think, so great for our whole community.
I just wanted to, one more thing before we wrap this up. Chief Stocks mentioned in his report that Shirley Hooper retired. She was a crossing guard in town for 34 years, which is an amazing amount of time to be trying to wrangle those kids that we see running around. So thank you to Ms. Hooper for your service, and I appreciate it. And it was nice of Chief Stocks to put that in the report. All right, anything else for Lynn or on the reports? Oh, Dan, you got your hand up again.
Yes, real quick. So I just want to kind of dovetail on what Vineeth was saying regarding DPW and just being on some of the previous conversations over the past couple of years. And I know Sean has really, talked about, focused on, putting efforts around engineering, and those efforts have really paid dividends, I think. I know we've had some heated conversations as a board over the past couple of years that, why are we going to be spending these funds in advance of these projects? But we're actually seeing these projects advance forward, and it's actually costing less money overall. So I know over the past 10, 15 years we haven't been doing too much, and we're seeing a lot of work being done across town, and I think that's a testament to members of the board as well as DPW actually, really focusing on trying to do things pragmatically, and we're seeing it pay dividends and save the town money. And I do appreciate all the patience for the members of the community, taxpayers, with all of the work that's being done and their patience, especially during rush hour. But again, I do want to just thank the DPW for looking ahead on these projects to help us save money and actually push us in front of other projects to make sure that we can get these things done. So I did want to just make sure I commented on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right. Wrapping that up, we're moving on to old business. We had a bit of an issue. We lost some items that were on old business, and one of which is the setting the warrant for September 9th, which we talked to town council about whether we could put it on because it was really returning old business, but just because we like to do things right, we're going to have a special remote special remote select board meeting tomorrow at noon just to set the September 9th special town meeting warrant. Everything else we're just pushing back. I know one was a select board policy. What else?
It was liaison assignments, rules and procedures, and
I think that might have been it.
That was it, yeah. So that'll be September 3rd.
So it's those three things. So we'll talk about the two of them at our next meeting, but we will talk about the closing the warrant tomorrow at noon, and that's the only thing that'll be at that meeting. Otherwise, we have approval of meeting minutes. We want to have some motions.
Yeah. I move that we approve the June 11th, 2025 remote special meeting minutes per any edits sent to administrative staff.
Second.
Anything further? Peggy?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
And, well, maybe I'll just do them all together.
I think that's
right, because we had a full attendance, I think, and all.
Actually, I will abstain from the June 27th. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
So
okay. All right. So I'll move that we approve the June 16th, 2025, and the July 21st, 2025 meeting minutes, incorporating any edits sent to staff.
Second.
Anything further?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
And I'll move that we approve the June 27th, 2025 meeting minutes incorporating any edits sent to staff.
Second.
Anything
Me?
further? Go ahead.
Nate?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Abstain.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. That's it for old business. Moving on to new business, we have the quarterly investment reports. We have,
I believe she's on Zoom. Yeah, she's on Zoom.
hey Erica, can you hear us?
Yes, just one moment. Good evening, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes, sorry, just getting my video going for you.
Hi Erica, please go ahead.
All right, thank you. I'm here tonight to submit my quarterly report on the status of the town's cash and investments for the period ending June 30th, 2025. As per the investment policy, the town held no long-term investments that exceeded the 5-year limit. The individual bank balances were under the $20 million bank provision. All banks received the highest safety rating of green except for from Veribank, except for Eastern Bank, and all accounts were fully insured or secured. The final quarter of fiscal year 2025 has seen consistent interest rates without any significant fluctuations. The treasurer and assistant treasurer are closely monitoring interest rates and moving funds to the appropriate accounts that will optimize investments with the best return. Eastern Bank experienced a change in Veribank ratings going from green to yellow. Eastern Bank's Director of Government Banking, Heather Tittman, provided a letter stating that the change was due to repositioning of the investment portfolio by selling off low-yielding securities and reinvesting in higher-level markets. There's an attachment with Heather's in-depth explanation and information regarding the bank's financial position. The OPEB Pension Reserve Investment Fund experienced a gain in quarterly interest. The quarter ended with a net increase of approximately $469,000. The June 30th balance in the fund is approximately $9,094,000. Also noteworthy, during the last quarter, the town earned a total of approximately $952,000 in interest. The Treasurer's Office will continue to seek the best possible interest rates and diversify funds appropriately to maximize investment potential while being in compliance with Massachusetts state laws and regulations. We will also continue to closely monitor all accounts to ensure the safety and security of all investments.
Great, thank you. So we have in Eastern Bank, we have a very low amount of money in there right now, correct?
So at the end of this quarter, we did. I actually have been in close contact with our rep from Eastern Bank, and he was able to offer us a rate that is the highest out of all of the institutions. So I have moved more money over there, but I am closely monitoring the status and will follow the investment policy should the Veribank rating not return to green. There are steps within the policy we have to follow if the rating, I believe, is in yellow or goes to red consistently.
Andrew made a face, so, and he was on the finance committee, so it made me nervous. Okay, and last time we had a bank go yellow, they had a plan to get back to green, and it went back pretty quickly. Do you feel confident in that happening again?
Yes, in the time that I've been with the town, there has not been a Veribank rating stay at green 2 quarters in a row, so I'm very confident that it'll go back to green. So hopefully on my next report you will see that, but based on what Heather's told me, and I had a conversation with her on the phone prior to her letter, I'm confident it'll go back to green.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Okay, next up on new business, we have Sokol Coffee Roasters.
Hi. How are you? Mike Sokol. I live at 44 Cooley Drive, about 20-year resident. I'm here representing my son, Nathan Sokol. He's 22, he has autism. He's gone through the school system here. They started roasting coffee beans back in, I think, 2019 during the pandemic to give him something to do. Likes to weigh and measure things. Very small coffee roaster. They started roasting a lot of coffee beans, and we decided you need to do something with the coffee beans. So they started going to farmers markets in Connecticut. 5 bags, 10 bags, they'd sell out. 20 bags, they sell out. 30 bags, they sell out. I go, oh, must be really good coffee. Come to find out, it's really good coffee. So they've been doing that, trying to keep him busy as he aged out of the system. Things are limited for him. So this year they started doing cold brew coffee and fresh squeezed lemonade. They've been doing a farmer's market in Wilbraham, Massachusetts. It just ended recently. Had a successful run. It was pretty good. So we're asking if we could do some pop-ups in town sporadically. They've done all their due diligence for insurance and Board of Health and ServSafe and Allergen Safe and education and all that good stuff that was required. So then we come to this process here. I did hear the concerns of the other people in town that have coffee. I met with them outside just to assure them we wouldn't be setting up next to them or in front of them. Not trying to, it's kind of unethical. And my son probably won't be doing it like a lot. He's going to be here and there when we can get him to do it. I was going to bring him tonight, but I didn't know how long it would take, and I don't think he'd sit here and he probably wouldn't answer your questions. He's a great kid. Just trying to get him to do things in his own community. He was working at the JGS in town, and now he's at the JCC. They've embraced him, so he's there 4 days a week, about 5 hours a day, doing things there. So it's been great.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you for coming in. I don't know if you watched, we have started talking about this. I think that we had a letter on the agenda, and we've been talking about this for months now.
Yeah.
Because we knew your application was coming, and I think I talked to your wife about the steps to take.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have a really nice business you're doing a good thing. So I appreciate that, and I'm glad to have more businesses in town and people putting themselves out there. But one of the things we've talked about is forming some sort of policy on how to do this and how to handle applicants. And because Poor Things was the first one to ever do it in town that I know of, certainly during my reign, and so we were there was no roadmap to follow.
Right.
And one of the things we were talking about is, what do we do? Do we want multiple people at a site? And I don't think so, because it will be, it couldn't overwhelm. The places where these are going are small, and I think that it, especially the same business, I don't think it makes sense to put in the same place. I understand it's not cutthroat competition, but I don't want there to be an incentive where somebody's trying to get there first. At any given spot.
And I explained to them, I said we would follow your schedule. Like, we wouldn't overstep them. That's not we're not like that. It's just not ethical.
I understand that. I think I know their schedule changes though. So that's I totally understand that you want to do the right thing, and I applaud that.
Plus having the opportunity to do it.
I'm sorry?
And also having the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, so I think, to me, it makes sense to have, to not have overlapping permitting, but I would like to hear what the rest of the board has to say about it. I think there are some good spots here that I don't think overlap, but Greenwood, the Barnard parcel, and
Old Town
Hall. And
Little Swamp.
Maison Tremblay over there, is that on there?
No.
I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not too sure. I think it was Bliss, Greenwood, Wolf Swamp, Fields.
I'm just trying to locate that part right now.
I'm trying to picture in my head exactly.
I do believe Poor Things is permitted for Wolf Swamp.
They are, yeah. I don't know if they're over there.
Yeah.
And I did ask at our last meeting also on the Barnard parcel, have we gotten any feedback from police or DPW on that? Michael Lynn?
Is that the?
That's down at the bottom
our call?
on Shaker.
No.
I don't believe we did. Yeah, I think we might have to still follow up on that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear on that whether that is because people fly down there. I think that's a really smart place to set up.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be 35 is the speed limit, right?
Well, I
Supposed to
wish,
be.
yeah.
Supposed to be, right.
But I don't want somebody flying down and slamming on the brakes, ooh, coffee, and then getting hit. It's generally not a busy area, but that's my concern. So I think that if police and DPW tell us that makes sense, or that's okay, I think it's a good spot. And I think that Old Town Hall, I think makes a lot of sense. And Greenwood, I think I would be in favor of granting a permit there.
Thank you for coming before us tonight.
Absolutely.
And this sounds like a great business. And the first part of your pitch there sounded like you could be on Shark Tank.
I try to give myself as many experiences as possible. Like, he doesn't want to do it, we're going to do it. Yeah.
But thank you for coming tonight. I think I do share some of the same concerns as Josh, that of just permitting the same type of offering at the same location. When we first allowed Poor Things Coffee to come into town, they were the first food truck that we allowed, and it was actually a very close vote. It was 3-2, and the 2 members that voted against it expressed concerns that this would lead to, a lot of different coffee trucks, food trucks being in town, and it caused congestion and maybe some unpleasantness. And what we said at the time, I think the 3 people that voted in favor of it, was that the select board controls the permitting, and we will control the process and who gets permitted and how, to make sure that it does not become a negative for our town, because I think right now it's been an overwhelmingly positive thing for our town. So for those reasons, I do not think that it would make much sense for us to provide you with permits in the same place that we've provided Poor Things, but would be completely in favor of you, being permitted at the other locations you've identified, and also would encourage you to even seek out, other locations as well. And then also, I think one thing that Poor Things had been doing before we permitted them was they were getting permits on private, in private parking lots. And that's also another, an option for you to look into as well. Yeah.
So I'm in general agreement. I think you'll agree that it's in everyone's best interest not to be in a certain location together, for example.
No, definitely not.
I'm sure you agree with that. Yeah, I mean, it's
wholeheartedly agree with that.
And I think that if there was a way, I think there's enough good places here that you can establish yourself. I will say that, and I don't know if Lynn can answer this, if there was a way to make us, I don't think there is, to make a permit where it's basically a schedule where, let's say there was a prime place in town, like the community house. As long as there was a way that parties would agree, like, this is the schedule, I'll be here this day, I'll be here this other day.
Right.
I mean, that
actually, that's what I was working on.
Could you permit like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday for the other party?
That's what a lot of communities do, neighboring communities do for this type of thing.
I mean,
and rotate it.
I think that I think that that's something that I personally would consider. Right now, I think we shouldn't vote on that because Poor Things might have something to say about that. We should give them a chance to come discuss it. But I think as a starting point, you could start your business, see how it goes. And in the future, I mean, I think that as long as there's not 2 identical kinds of businesses in the same place, I like the idea of people having a chance, essentially, if there was like some very coveted places. But that would be, now you've educated me that that's possible, basically.
Yeah, because we already, community house, you can't do it on election day. We already have cut out a day.
You can
so I
actually,
think, So if you could.
And when there's a permitted festival or event on the green, that
perfect.
moves
So
into that location.
maybe some thought could be given to that.
So just as a corollary to that, I think that's a great idea. You did mention that you may not be out there often. We don't exactly have people breaking down the doors to get food cart permits in town.
Not yet.
But if that ever did happen, I think this would be something we would want to have in a policy. If it's not being used that often, I think then we would want to give it to someone else. I'm not saying that now, but
Right, I can't tell you like how he's gonna, we're gonna set up on Monday. I may have a road day on Monday, so it's not gonna happen Monday.
Yeah.
So it might be on a different day or a different
Right.
spot. Or we may have a great run, like we did the Wolverhampton Farmers Market. We did consistently every Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it was hot. I mean, it was really hot, but he sold out he was like, I was like, wow, okay. I said, this is a blessing.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is great for you, buddy. Okay.
So I think that kind of comes along with what we're talking about.
Yeah, and we just want to bring it to his town. Like, we want to say, yeah, we're going to Wilbraham. Okay, well, we want to come in. Yeah, we're living a lot better for 20
I
years.
think you'll
so
get a lot of
that's
support because I think it's a great story.
Yeah.
And but I don't want your son to wake up on a Thursday and say, I want to get out there, but you're not permanent for that day, or Poor Things is already a community house. So I think if you
right.
have your
So,
own
so
spots.
it's on us as parents to, like, we have to set it up. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is what we're doing. Like the Wednesdays in Wilbraham, yeah, it was some effort. Going to work every day. We started JGS 2 hours a day. We got to 4, went to 5. Yeah, okay, we can do it. So it's a build up for him.
Okay, we have. Why don't we go with Shelley first?
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I agree. I agree with a lot of what was just said by Vineeth, Andrew, and Josh. I think it's great for us to have people that live in our town have a business in our town. And Mr. Sokol, I love the idea of having another coffee option in town. I'm in full favor of allowing this, as long as we can probably come up with a schedule. It sounds like, if I heard correctly over the Zoom call, that Mike, are we working on a potential calendar to help with situations like this?
So not necessarily to that extent, but we began working on a draft policy because of the fact that it's really uncharted territory for us, because we haven't had food truck requests pretty much ever.
Right. And we're super flexible, so it's not, say, hey, okay, that's cool.
So we're working on making something a little bit more formalized, because all we have is a general bylaw that states written permission of the select board currently.
Yeah.
I think that's great, because I'm sure we're going to have this situation come up again, and for us to kind of have a standard and a format to rely on will help us kind of come to decisions easier. I agree with what we all just discussed, and being newer to the board, does Mr. Sokol have to adjust his application in, or is it more just what we discussed tonight about not overlapping where Poor Things goes? What would be the process to keep this moving forward?
We can move to grant on certain locations.
Okay.
Like the Old Town Hall, for example.
Yeah. Anything else, Shelley?
No, one quick question. Mr. Sokol, is that something that's appetizing to you to have an adjust, other than what you submitted for all of the locations? Are you comfortable, and you and your son comfortable with an adjusted set of locations for setup?
Well, I think we have to be comfortable with it. Yeah. Yeah, we have to be comfortable with it for now. And then as it gets adjusted, as we go further and further into it, and he gets more experienced at it, maybe it can be readjusted. And like I said, we don't want to step on anyone's toes, but we also want to be able to help him, with his community involvement.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what we're all saying, is we want to make sure there's a healthy level of competition and fairness, and also just provide the same opportunity to you as well. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, he had tried to set up in the farmer's market in the Long Meadow Shops, but they said no because there's Starbucks there.
They have, yeah.
Okay.
So that's one of the things, that whole place is leased. They have an
Yeah, it's not like, it's a farmer's market, so to say, but it's not like.
Right.
If I can explain differently, it's like a farmer's market. Just that one thing, yeah.
Dan?
Thank you. And first, I just want to say I think it's really admirable, helping your son and your son, starting his business. I think that's great, and obviously it's been successful in other communities. I do echo a lot of the same sentiments of the other board members, and I would say that I think the biggest problem right now is that we just don't have a policy that we do need to start working on and addressing. And I do want to make a comment as well that I don't know if the town wants to be in a situation where we're in charge of scheduling of vendors, like times and locations, and making sure that we have multiple, or making sure that we don't have multiple vendors, like coffee vendors, in the same place. I just think we got to be very careful when it comes to like how we're regulating this. But I think we really need to start looking at actually the policy and making sure that it works. But I do want to say as well that I know Poor Things Coffee has been a great business in our community, and we held them to really high standards early on. Like, they had to go through a process, if I recall, where we had to vet out these locations. They had, I think they were on like maybe a 6-month probation period as well, to kind of prove out that they were, operating under, the restrictions or items that we placed in front of them. And I think they've done a really good job. And the last thing that I want to do is take away from their success as well. But I do want to figure out a way that we can make it work for everybody. So my thought was to do something similar to what we did with Poor Things Coffee, and have certain designated locations that your company could leverage, and then we could come back to the table where we're hopefully working on a policy that makes sense for everybody. But it is very tight already over at places like Bliss and some of the other locations. We have people, it's very popular. There's people like parking on grass, and I just feel like it would be overwhelming for both of the same location, and scheduling would be very difficult as well. And I don't think the businesses want to be trying to communicate all the time to make sure that we have a proper schedule in place. So I do think it's a unique situation out we're in, but I do think we need to figure out a policy to make sure that it does work. But I also want to be sensitive to Poor Things and the rapport that they've built and business they've built as well in our communities.
Go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, I agree that I think policy needs to be developed. I think I reached out to Mike earlier today just to see if what other towns are doing. But in the meantime, I feel comfortable, approving certain locations for Sokol. So I will make a motion to approve Sokol Coffee Roasters permit for the locations at Old Town Hall, Greenwood Park, and Barnard Parcel, pending LPD approval.
Yeah.
Second.
And anything further on that? Dan, did you want to make it? I don't feel we need to make it probationary. I think because we've seen it work. But if you feel strongly about it, I'm fully confident they will have no problem passing.
I don't know if it helps. I mean, they've been roasting since 19 and getting permits from the town for Board of Health anyway.
Gotcha.
So that helps to know it.
So I'm comfortable with it. But Dan, if you feel otherwise, I don't see any problem.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. I did want to at least make the point that I know, the first time we kind of put Poor Things Coffee through the ringer since it was new, but I have no doubt that this business is they're going to do a good job and make sure that they're following any restrictions that are in place.
Yeah, we have a pretty thriving food cart scene in town now, so yeah, getting up to going up 100%. Okay, well, if there's nothing further, Peggy, do a roll.
Vinny?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
All right, congratulations. We can't wait to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can get a draft policy too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next meeting.
All right, we're moving on next to a bingo permit for Willie Ross School for the Deaf.
Yeah, so I would have to say this is probably the first time you've seen this type of permit on your agendas.
Absolutely.
So it's a Beano permit, and it's Mass State law, general law, and this is the first one that I've received in my time here. It goes through the town clerk's office, chief of police has to sign it, and then it ultimately comes to the select board, who's the licensing authority, to approve the permit. In conversation with the town clerk, and then receiving the police chief's signature for the event, for the Beano permit, looks like everything's in order, all paperwork's in order for them, designated their nonprofit eligible. So it's a comfortable situation for the select board to vote on this permit.
Okay, and the date is for October 24th, 6 to 12. Do we know anything else about it? What it's a fundraiser for or anything like that?
Yes, give me 1 second. I believe it was it potentially is in correspondence. the full synopsis.
Oh, I
Just-
never saw that.
let's see. It is a purse bingo fundraiser at Twin Hills Country Club, and they have already went through the paperwork process through the Massachusetts Lotto Commission, and yeah, so it's a purse bingo fundraiser.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? I
Are
hope
we
this
invited?
isn't. Yeah. I hope this isn't like tree hearings where we start getting a bunch of them. Okay.
All right. I'll move that we approve Willie Ross School for the Deaf's bingo permit.
Second.
Do we say Beano permit?
Or
Yeah, I
Beano
would say
permit?
Beano permit.
Ah,
just to
sorry.
say.
Yeah, so I amend it to Beano.
Okay. Anything else? No. Go ahead, Peggy.
Beneath?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we have Ellington Street Block Party for September 13th, which is when I'm out of town, so I won't be attending this, so no one can accuse me of that.
I move to approve the Ellington Street closure application for September 13th, 2025.
Second.
Nothing further. Go ahead, Peggy.
Beneath?
Yes.
Dan, I'm sorry, Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, MSBA, PSBA cover letter, project scope and budget agreement. Lynn, are you presenting this?
Sure. So attached to the agenda is the letter from the Mass School Building Authority. This is the next set of deliverable documents that we have to get to MSBA. The one that's in front of you tonight is to provide a certified copy of the vote of the local governing body authorizing the town to enter into and be bound by the PSBA and authorizing the signatory to execute the document on behalf of the town, which is required by local charter, bylaw, ordinance, or other applicable law where required by any of those. And so you are the local governing body, and with this, I would ask that you authorize me to sign the PSBA and submit this back to MSBA.
Okay, do we have a motion to defer?
Authorize.
Sorry? Authorize the town manager to sign this PSBA on behalf of the select board?
So moved.
Second.
Second? Okay, sorry. Beneath?
Yes.
Oh, anything further? No? Okay. Go ahead.
You second?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I seconded it. Yeah.
Beneath?
Yep. Sorry. And I vote for it too.
Beneath?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And next up, the DPW budget and project discussion. Sean and Tim.
Sean Van Dusen, DPW Director.
Tim Keith, town engineer.
So we prepared a really, well, longer than I hoped, but a PowerPoint presentation to kind of buzz through really quickly, talk about some historical stuff, where we are now, and what we're looking forward to in the future, just so everyone kind of gets an idea of the size of the projects we have undertaken and some of the complications trying to run them. So we're definitely missed some stuff, and feel free at any moment during this to interrupt, ask questions, because we're going to touch on a lot of stuff, and I want to make sure everyone has a chance if they have any concerns to talk. So we'll start off with the sort of thing that's been a topic we've talked about a lot recently, which is the water and sewer studies. So we conducted a water pipe age study showing significant deficiencies in our capital plan. That study we used was the basis for our rate analysis, which you guys have recently been weighing in on. And what you can see to the left is the $267 million number, which is the projects that are recommended we undertake in the next 20 years. So obviously a humbling number. It's been recommended we replace about a mile of water lines a year. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see what we've been doing historically, which is from 2015 to 22, not very much. A couple hundred feet here and there. You should be doing 5,000 feet a year. And then you can see a sort of uptick in the projects in 23, and hopefully continuing that posture to try to get in front of some of the issues we have and deficiencies in the system. So go on to the next slide, please. Oh, you're there.
Yeah, I was there.
Sorry. So we had some other projects we can touch upon, which is we performed a feasibility study for a redundant water tank and an interconnection study, which you guys will be hearing about probably the next month, so we can make a decision. There will likely be a warrant article of some sort to discuss moving forward with maybe interconnection, at least in the design. But again, we'll have Fuss O'Neill come in to be presenting those. Some of the other things we've done with the water and sewer capital plan is try to synchronize the highway projects, the water and sewer projects, to get them to work together in a linear fashion, in sort of in a methodology that makes sense, so we're not wasting money, and we gain some efficiencies, which is why we did the L water main project in front of the L tip project. It's why we're going to come back for you guys to try to do the water and sewer in front of the next tip project. So yeah, what's the next one? So we also have a full design of the Western Drive area. That's fully designed, and we're going to be coming back before you to ask for funding. We will be utilizing water and sewer enterprise funds to repave that section of town. That's a sizable project. Again, we're all in that same corridor of town, which does make some sense considering it was the area first developed, and so we're sort of having some level of planning, hopefully. We also have put applications in for SRS funding for more complete asset management. We're doing a decent job of what we have, but it will take more money to get. We're in a bird's eye view now to get in the more micro level. We have completed a rough draft of water and sewer regulations. We do need to finish, but we're not quite there yet. We ran out of money and time to complete that study, but we are hoping to come back before you at some point with updated water sewer regs. The ones we have are antiquated, outdated, and some of them are contradictory, which makes it really hard to deal with residents when they have a request for an abatement when they're illogical. So next slide. So we have done some sewer replacement work on John Quill Lane. We're slip line portions of Forest Glen, Long Meadow, and Converse. And slip lining is a type of construction methodology where you kind of put a sock through an existing sewer line, and it kind of lines you inside of it and hardens. And it's very cost effective. So anywhere in town where we can do that in front of a sewer line collapsing, we should be, because it's much cheaper than doing a full line replacement.
Sean, so that obviously goes inside. Does that limit capacity?
No, because it's very thin.
Okay.
And in some cases with stormwater, when you do it, you can actually increase capacity even while you reduce size if they happen to have a Corrier pipe with like baffling in it. But yeah, it's a great methodology, and it's cheap, pretty cheap compared to full replacement.
But that's not always available?
If you wait for the sewer lines to decay too far, you can't slip line. So it's again a place where we need to camera the lines, see where we can do that work. And in terms of the projects we have ongoing, there will be some places where the slip line won't be possible. We'll have to rip that section up, replace it completely, and then slip line other areas. We did also do the North Interceptor project on Western Drive, which was a project I think was 10 years in the making, maybe 12, but we got that pushed through. We had emergency repair the cross-country force main relief valve down in the Emerson Road area. And we had emergency pump repairs to Emerson Road Pump Station, which you guys heard about a couple weeks ago. We are hopefully through that. We did update our capital plan to show reoccurring slip lining projects, which we should be doing 4 or 5 years in front of our paving projects, similar to the water line projects, and getting areas where we have significant inflow and infiltration, where we know we need to get there and get that done before the line collapses. So we do save money, but we're just getting that started. We also standardized jet truck operations to hit hotspots to make sure that we're mapping where our hotspots are in terms of backups, and making sure that the guys are going out and hitting those hotspots. And we're making sure that hopefully we don't have backups. We do have GPS in the truck to make sure we can monitor where they're going and make sure they hit those spots. Some road and sidewalk projects we've done. We resurfaced Maple Road, Woodland, Northfield Road, Berkshire Lane, Meadow Drive. sections of Pinewood Drive. We had Beta come in and give you guys the pavement management plan, which was, I think, an improvement over the previous plans we had done. And you can see that it showed in that plan that we need approximately $2.5 to $3 million annually to keep up with paving operations. And we've been getting far short of that. So you'll see going forward when we have questions about funding, it'll pop up. But we also did areas of Longwood Ave, Meadow Road, Farmington Ave, as well as Wilkin, Lawrence Drive, and they were resurfaced last year. You guys are obviously aware of the bond work we're doing right now, the $5.5 million bond, and that'll be a great project to wrap up by the end of November. Lynn touched upon the TIP projects, Converse Street and Forest Glen. We completed the town's complete streets policy. That is something that I think, talking about extending sidewalks in the areas of town, that's something that should have been touched upon then, and we'll definitely revisit making sure that there's areas mapped where we need to have more connectivity. But as part of that complete streets policy, we applied for and got another grant for some sidewalk work and RFPs. We also received multiple Safe Route to School grants. For Blueberry Hill Elementary School, you got a grant for bikes, and we got a grant from the casino to deal with the raised elevated crosswalk on Williams. Was a speed bump, sorry. So annual sidewalk projects have averaged about $500K a year. We had Beta start a phase 1 ADA study, which we then use as a basis to apply for grant funding to do a full capital plan for the sidewalks. We did not receive the grant, and we do need to update a master plan for capital for sidewalks so we know exactly what sidewalks are in what condition, how much cost it is to replace, and whether or not we're keeping up with them. We really don't have an updated plan in a similar manner to what we do with our roads. We were awarded a MassWorks grant to fund design for William Street and Redfern intersections. I'm happy to say that we have some preliminary designs, and we'll be coming before you guys very shortly to ask for next steps, because there's a couple alternatives that have been come up with to deal with the intersection at Redfern and also the area around Big Y. And we're going to need some public feedback in order to finalize design to apply for another grant to redo that area of town.
How does that fit in with the Colvest?
So Colvest, because part of the criteria for the MassWorks grant is to have economic development. So we applied for the grant and said that we had this economic development coming to town, and that grant covered this design. It does not cover construction, but it covers design.
And we have some money from the shops and from Colvest for that, right?
We have money from the shops.
Oh, we don't. Okay.
But anyway, it'll be a big deal to look at the new layouts and some of the conceptual stuff, because it will greatly improve the safety area, the safety sort of structure in that town, and I think it'll be well needed. Lynn touched upon the second TIP, the phase 1 TIP project, which we got the hopefully accelerated timeline for. Again, we'll be coming back before you guys this fall, probably to ask for money for engineering for the water side, water and sewer side, in front of that project. Parks and grounds, we completed 3 elementary school ADA upgraded playgrounds. We just signed the contract for the upgrades at Bliss. Lynn stole all my stuff. We completed the full design for upgrades to Glenbrook Fields. We did apply for CPC money, but obviously we're in a holding pattern until we see what happens with that school. We completed the field conditions assessment analysis and the turf analysis, as you guys are aware. We finished the irrigation and repairs to Glenbrook Fields, which when I arrived were not functioning. We've started, obviously, the pool projects, and we are getting ready for the second bidding of the upgrades to Bliss, which will be another large upgrade, and we'll be monitoring the timeline again. So if we happen to have some issues with opening, we're well aware, and hopefully we'll get that project done before next season. But we are trying to do a lot and juggling a lot of contractors to get this to work with pool seasons. We finished the tree risk assessment, tree hazard risk assessment, I think 3 years ago. We addressed all the trees we could at that time. I think we spent a significant amount of ARPA money on that. And we've planted several hundred new trees as part of these capital projects, and we've gotten caught up with a 5-year backlog of stump grinding. Unfortunately, we have some more stumps to grind as we've cut down the hazard trees.
Just back on the trees. So part of why Lynn and I talked about this would be a good thing to do is, especially for Shelley and Andrew, who I don't think they were here for all of the studies we've received and we've heard about. And you saw what we need to do on water, $267 million, which is a lot. But then trees I remember just being stunned by the amount of money that we should be spending on it. Do you have that number?
I want to say off the cuff, it was like $1 million or something a year. It was something crazy. Yeah.
It's got to have been more than that, because
it was. Yeah, it was.
$1 million, I would have said, well, we can't do that, but that's not crazy. But
yeah,
it was maybe that. I mean, that is. That's a huge.
It was a couple of years ago, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But so that I just wanted everyone to know what we're working against here.
But I do think we're doing a good job catching up with tree plantings, and having a tree warden has definitely been helpful.
Absolutely.
And these capital projects we undertake, and we always look at them in totality and holistically. So we're doing our best to catch up with some of the trees that we've lost over the last 20 years. On the facility side, I'm definitely missing some of this because Nick was on vacation when we went through it. But we're working on a building use assessment right now, as you're all aware. Fuss O'Neill is due to complete that very soon, at least in the buildings that are empty right now, and also looking at staffing analysis to see what we should be at in order to maintain the existing buildings we have. Completed the renovation of the old adult center and moved town offices last year. That was a major project, and a lot of work went into it in-house to get that to happen. Something that I think staff's very proud of. We've been dealing with a lot of emergency mold and water issues with all these old buildings. It is constant. Wolf Swamp LHS Center School this morning was a freezer that went down over the weekend, and there's rotten food everywhere. So that was what Nick came back to after vacation. Participating in the design for the new middle school, Center School MSBA Accelerated Repair Program. You guys just saw the contract. The library study for remodeling, that was CPC money, just started. The contract was just signed last week, so we'll be going through that renovation study, and we'll be utilizing that for the basis for more of some exterior work that needs to happen that has been deferred a while. We've installed new air handlers at LHS. The Wolf Swamp Chiller and Blueberry Hill are being replaced. They're both in process of bidding now. One under design, one under bidding. And we've updated the building capital asset management in-house. We didn't really have much laid out when I got here, so we've done the best we can to start getting everything in spreadsheets and to get an idea of what we have in inventory and then what the replacement costs are, because we're still missing stuff, but we're doing the best we can to kind of update those documents all the time. On the stormwater side, we received an asset management grant that Time Bond did to go through all our culverts and outfalls and to kind of monitor them. And what they found is we need about $2 million annually to start replacing our culverts, which have failed. Some of those culverts, when they get replaced, will likely have to be bridges. We have not been funding stormwater really at all. It's kind of a looming elephant in the room. Right now we're dealing with Raspberry Brook. We've had collapses of banks on York in other areas, so we've been in a very reactive manner dealing with this stuff as it's come. But it's sort of lingering all the time, and we definitely need to think about what we're going to do in the future to get those taken care of. Projects that were completed: Pondstein Culvert, Shady Knoll. That was their stormwater projects. We're under design right now is Raspberry Brook and Inverness. We worked with the planning department for a long-term plan for Cooley Brook. Worked with planning on the green infrastructure project, stormwater infrastructure. Upgraded Turner Park Dam. And we used ARPA money, I want to say around $800,000 to deal with collapsed catch basins all around town. So as we're talking about being reactive, we barely got in front of an emergency with those catch basins. It was not uncommon to get a call from the contractor to go look and there'd be a 10-foot hole underneath Route 5 because we'd had these catch basins collapsing and we had not gotten to taking care of them because staff didn't have the capacity to do it in-house and we had never funded those repairs. So the ARPA money definitely saved us from having a larger issue. We still are struggling to keep up with them as they collapse. It's just, they're antiquated, and we had a lot of heavy salt usage historically, which deteriorated the concrete in those stormwaters, the stormwater system, the catch basins. We received a grant for conceptual design for culvert on Longmeadow Brook.
We just got a second grant today.
And today we got another grant to do work in that. But we have, again, I want to emphasize, done nothing to the collection system. So, and Dan will talk about, I'm sure, some concerns he has later, but we've funded only with our road projects the catch basin repairs and some of the T's. We've done nothing to map out in any manner the capacity of the system, to study the implications of collecting more and the speed in which the stormwater leave, which could cause issues to other areas of town. So we do need to fund an analysis of the capacity of our stormwater system and implement that into the other sort of master plans with water, sewer, and roads. So we're doing them all in totality, but we're just not there yet.
I just wanted to underscore what Sean just said, because he's going fast. And,
yeah, I'm sorry.
So why that's so critical to map that out is because cities and towns that did that 10, 15 years ago, they were mapping out what 100 or 500 year floods looked like, or rain events looked like. And that's what we should be doing. We should have been doing that years ago, because we could have started tackling some of these areas that we showed on models of what would happen. Not to be really dire in this situation, but you do that so that you can prepare in advance for what we know is going to end up being the reality.
I was just reading an article too that the models are wrong. All the 100-year floods are 25-year floods. Yeah, and so are we accounting for that when we're looking at things?
Well, we're not making any upgrades. So we know when we rebuild, we need to rebuild for events that we seem to have every single summer now, where we get 4 inches of rain in an hour and the adult center floods. I mean, that's something that, like, how did that get missed during design? No one's infrastructure is able to handle the sort of storms we're getting right now. But when we rebuild, we should rebuild to make sure it's as large and as permanent to handle this stuff as possible. But then you must map out where the water's going. You got to figure out where the outfalls are, what other areas can handle it, and what you're doing to a ravine when the water jets out at that kind of speed. There has to be rain gardens or the ability to slow that water down when it leaves the outfalls. So it's much more complicated. Plus, with upgrading the stormwater system, you're increasing a pipe size, you're getting closer to gas, you're getting closer to water and sewer. So it's the same design level as a water or sewer project, and they all need to be taken into consideration 3-4 years in advance of an upgrade to a road. And then hopefully you have enough money in the stormwater system, like enterprise fund, to help fund the road reconstruction along with water and sewer projects. I'll move along. We also went through the fleet list, which had been not kept up with, and went through and sort of organized the life expectancy of the trucks. We saw that we were keeping trucks 10 years longer than they should have. We had a really bad fleet a couple years back. I'm happy to say that the town's done a great job investing in some larger, bigger trucks, and we've had some really light winters that have kept us away from a catastrophe in terms of our fleet going down. We had some bad trucks, but we're doing much better. We've got rid of a whole bunch of surplus vehicles, and the fleet's in much better shape. Other noteworthy things is give credit to Lisa and Mark Gold and Arlene for the work they do with the trash and recycling. It was a major project, and we're still living it, but I think that it was incredibly smooth given the size and scope of what they did. Lisa worked tireless. She was doing like 20 hours a week just on that. I don't know how she did the rest of her job. So if she's listening, thanks a lot, Lisa. And we also changed the drop off as part of this, where the brush dump is now moved to the old garage site. It probably should stay there. There wasn't enough space inside the old recycling center to be doing that. And in our look forwards, you'll see that there needs to be consideration to upgrading our recycling center at some point. It's really not modern, and it definitely has some code issues around the way it's laid out. So that is another project that needs to be considered at some point in the future. Looking ahead, our current 5-year capital plans show a need of about $12 million annually. We've been getting about $2 million for the whole town. So you can see some of the some of the ramifications and some of the issues that arise with that, and why it's so important to have feedback from you guys in terms of what projects you want to see move forward when there's all these competing interests happening at once. Projects to come: Western Drive Water and Sewer, the interconnection study, which I think is an important one. Water meter replacement. We are due, every time we read meters now, we're losing 50 to 100 at a time. They're incredibly costly to replace, so we'll be coming for you in the fall for that as well. Final design for Long Meadow Street, that's that TIP Phase 1 project. The Pondside demo, we're working on the final permitting issues associated with that, and it's been an incredibly complicated project to get through design and permitting because of the multiple entities involved. It cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars more than anticipated because of the permitting alone. Forest Glen generator, we have a design for that. We do need to get a generator at the pump station. A couple of years back, you might remember, we lost power, and we had a difficult time getting water. We had, I think, was it Chris was there for 48 hours. Emerson Road pump replacement. We're going to need to replace those pumps we just rebuilt, so we don't have another issue like we just did with the wastewater plant. The stormwater capacity study, which I touched upon earlier, I think that's one that needs to be done and needs to be included in our long-term capital. Sidewalk capital assessment I touched upon earlier as well. I think it's important to consider, if we do end up extending sidewalks someplace, that we're maintaining the existing infrastructure we have and not building more we can't take care of. And we've got to weigh the pros and cons of that, and I think also talk about connectivity and what's important to do if we're going to connect sidewalks. What it is, do we own the property, is there easements that need to be taken, all that stuff, and drainage changes too. All that stuff has to be considered. Center school roof and windows, it's talked about. Library fire alarm system upgrades, we just found out that we have some code issues there. We have design started to get some prices to do some upgrades. Multiple athletic field upgrades. This is important, especially considering what happens if the school passes. We're going to lose the football field, which means the practice field will have to be moved to somewhere else, likely the high school. If that happens, we'll have to talk about what we're going to do to keep those fields playable. We have a couple ideas, but there might have to be significant money dumped into maintaining that field because of the extra usage. We have a proposal coming from an outside consultant to weigh in on that, but obviously it's coming quick. And we're going to run into field issues very quickly. The football field, if you guys saw the study that was put on by Tom Irwin, has some pretty bad problems and has to be dealt with at some point as well. So that's all going to coalesce as we lose a school, unfortunately. So there'll have to be a plan for that. Multiple school roof repairs. You'll see in the 5-year plan that we have a lot of roofs and a lot of them leak, and we have a lot of HVAC issues as well, enough that they'll eat up the entire capital project annually. So other Bliss Road, William Street, that's as MassWorks grant. So hopefully we're able to utilize the design we agree upon to apply for a second MassWorks grant to upgrade that entire area and make upgrades to the stormwater system there, because we know that the area from there all the way down William Street is undersized, but that area of Bliss and Williams is definitely needs some improvement. It needs to be repaved badly, and it needs some safety improvements and some additional lighting, additional sidewalks. It'll be an expensive project, but hopefully we can get a MassWorks grant for it. And then I mentioned the redesign of the recycling center and the renovation of Bliss Park Pool and Playground. That's coming. Obstacles. It's the insufficient funding of our operating budget. Beyond the capital budgets being insufficient, our operating budget's lacking. That shows in sort of some of the field conditions that we have. We haven't really funded adding clay and soil to the fields, basic stuff. We're doing much better now. We at least know now, and we've moved forward with some of those improvements. I think we need some more, obviously. Backlog of capital projects and insufficient funding. We have issues with DPW positions and high turnover. We haven't been able to maintain staff, and it's an issue. Insufficient staffing. Not only do we not have enough staff because we have high turnover, we don't have the numbers we probably should in addition to that. I think that will probably be touched upon during the staffing analysis with the building assessment. Loss of institutional knowledge. Beyond all that, a lot of the staff I have are getting older, and they are retiring, and they know the town very well, and they're also incredibly talented. There are people that knew how to operate machinery and do lots of stuff that, unfortunately, the generation coming up just doesn't quite have. So when we lose them, we lose the spots they knew that always flooded, the places that, might have a vulnerable outfall. They knew stuff, and we're trying to get that all documented and get as much as we can out of them before they retire, but it is an issue. And also, I think that my staff, I think, is a great job, but any one of us leaves and we have a major problem. So difficulty responding to day-to-day operations. We get calls and work orders. We might have in a given day 2 people in the highway department or 3 because people are sick or on vacation. It's hard to do much with 2 or 3 guys. They might go and patch potholes for an hour and turn around and have to respond to something completely different and unrelated, and so it makes the day-to-day hard. Uptick in emergency response incidents from deferred maintenance, aging infrastructure, and natural events. You get a flood, all of a sudden everyone's over at the adult center cleaning out the bottom because water is there, or there's one road that has a washout and they spend the morning doing that. One water main break, and even if they're not the ones responding to fix it because our men's doing it, they're the ones doing the cleanup afterwards. They're closing doors, we've got to open valves, so there's a lot of coordination with that. Again, you have a couple people in the department, it makes the getting stuff done in a linear manner difficult. Increased regulatory burden, more time consuming. So we touched upon that with the pond side stuff. There's multiple permits, things you can't even imagine. In addition to that, the procurement law in terms of getting a project from design through to construction, similar to the pool bonding issue. That's something that you would think 20 grand in a contractor we could go in and fix, and instead it's a $300,000 project because we had to hire an engineer. That stuff happens all the time. It's incredibly frustrating because on paper it seems like this is an easy fix, but once we go through the law and do it properly, it's $500,000. So, anyways, that was. Yeah.
Ended on a high note.
And this is attached to the agenda tonight.
Oh, it is?
Okay.
Just tonight. Yeah.
Whew. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
I was thinking, every time I talk to you,
It's depressing.
and get a report, you're kind of like the oncologist or the ICU doctor in the hospital. You basically are delivering bad news in every conversation or report that I've pretty much had with you. And I think in your next life you need to be a clown or something to just bring happiness to people. I think that this is, so depressing, sobering, obviously. I think that as a select board member, I kind of realize we'll never, obviously, we live in a historic town. My attitude is we're never going to ever be in a situation where we're right on top of everything. I think each of us can only hope that we leave our town a little bit better off, and I'm sure that you as well in your careers, we want to leave our town a little better off than the way we found it. I think that when I think about our budget and how difficult, how tight it's going to be, especially with the middle school, I do feel like your department is still, and probably for my entire tenure on the select board, however long that is going to be the department that is the closest to crisis. And I just feel like, everything we do, everything we spend money on is virtuous and valuable. I looked at your list and I was looking for things that I could pick out and say that's not really the highest priority. That's like a want, not a need. But I really couldn't. So I do think, though, based on priorities, in the coming budgets, we should try, this is my opinion, to divert a greater portion of our budget to the DPW, to try to leave this town a little better than we found it. And that's going to be a sacrifice, obviously, from the schools, from other departments, maybe fire, police, but in my opinion, we'll do a better job for the town if we try to focus on that.
Lynn and I talked about doing this and having you, and thank you for coming. And this is almost like a retrospective monthly report. We get the reports, we know what you're doing, but this is, I wanted you to show us what you've done, where you've been, where we are. And it was very sobering, more than I even expected. And a lot of it does come down to that, I think, at least, our water rates were so low for so long, water and sewer, and just artificially low, and everything just compounded, and we have so many problems that should have been addressed for years, and it's really unfortunate that we're at where we are, and now inflation is, everything is harder to do. But the good thing is, I think that you are thinking about things very strategically, and that I don't think that happened for a long time. And you asked us, one of the things you want to hear from us, what do we want you to do? We want you to do everything. And because, like Andrew said, there's nothing that we're just doing for the heck of it. We have to do these things. And I remember, it might have been 2 or 3 years ago, just driving down by my house at Bliss, and I had to pull over into the playground because I had driven through maybe this much water, and it's not a gully there, and I couldn't see and these storms keep happening, and that's what really, when we see that, I'm assuming it's taking an incredible toll on our stormwater system. But the fact that you tell us that the stormwater has not been funded, that makes me nervous, and that things are just going to cascade. We're going to lose streets because we haven't been taking care of it. And I know that is probably not the sexiest thing for us to do, but it's so important. But there's so many things. On the other hand, I also think it's really important that we don't lose the quality of life things. And my boys play baseball and soccer, my daughter plays lacrosse. I hear from other parents that they want to see us do a better job with the fields. And I know that, among everything else, that is a staffing problem, because a little money can go a long way on that, I know, but you just don't have the staffing. I'm hoping with as we continue to kind of right-size our salaries for your employees, I hope we can do a little better on that. But those are kind of conflicting things, but I think the quality of life really touches a lot of people, and that's what people see. But also, we have to address things that affect residents directly, so the water mains, and then also we have to watch the things that could be catastrophic, the stormwater. So, like I said, we want you to do everything. It's really hard to say go forth and do this, but I think that one of the things I'm the most proud of that we've done, that happened on my time in the select board, was the bonding for the paving, because and Lynn and Ian and Mike, this is the things that I think we can't do this all the time, obviously. We don't have a lot of borrowing capacity, but the bigger swings, thinking a little bit outside the box. How can we get a little bit ahead of ourselves, or a little bit ahead of where we were? Because, not all the numbers are up there, but just for water mains, $267 million over 20 years, that's a quarter of our budget. And it'll never happen. But we have to do what we can. And if we can be creative and find ways to do things, and you're always going to be playing catch up and putting out fires. But to the extent we can get ahead of some things, that's what we got to do. Anybody else?
Yeah. No, I agree with so much of that, Josh and Andrew as well. I understand that, and thank you all for the presentation, and kind of, I know that these are conversations that we're constantly having, and it's good to see everything kind of in one place and laid out. And I know that a lot of this, especially with roads, that there were pressures from Prop 2.5, prior to COVID, and that really affected the way that our budget was managed, and that the increased home values after COVID hit really kind of gave us some breathing room in that respect. I know, though, that looking at some of our enterprise funds like water, sewer, stormwater, that the underfunded investment in those areas is indefensible to me. Those were things that we should have been doing for a very long time, and we did not invest in our water infrastructure, stormwater, and sewer, and that is incredibly frustrating. And I know that we are taking steps now to get to a place where we are setting rates that will allow us to take on more projects, and to really chip away at it. And I also want to say that this was directly a result of the select board's actions and not of town staff and and town leadership, because I know that you guys get blamed for a lot of this stuff, and I just want to make clear that that's not the case. I know that when I was first elected, I met with Lynn and Sean, and you guys laid out a lot of this to me, and I said, you know, how could this, you know, have happened? And you know, your response was basically, we just haven't had a select board yet that will fund these things, and I hope that one day we will. And you know, I think that now we do have a select board that understands the ramifications of not maintaining our infrastructure. I mean, you guys just talked too about when we're already so when our staff and our operations are already so stressed, having water main breaks and the impact that that has on all of our other operations, and to have this many water main breaks just in 1 month really highlights the need for this. And so, you know, I'm glad that we're moving in the right direction in terms of that. I know that we've also talked about coming up with creative solutions, and of course we can't do all of this we're not gonna be able to do all of this, but we have to start chipping away at it. People need to start seeing progress. And I think that people are seeing progress now, which is a step in the right direction. But things like using, our water main projects to also pave our roads afterwards. These are things that other communities have been doing that we were not doing previously. And now with Western Drive, you know, we are going to do that, and I'm fully in support of doing that moving forward so that we are paving more roads, because the Chapter 90 funding is so limited, our budget is so limited, so we should be making use of any avenue that we have to do that. And so, you know, I'm in support of continuing to be aggressive on that end, to be looking to other communities to see what they're doing, to see if we can also get any ideas that we can incorporate here in how we do things.
Can I just follow on? So if you're looking for directives from us, I think that it's pretty obvious. We need you to keep doing exactly what you're doing, which is triaging, which is basically trying to put out fires, but also look for the worst possible situations and the things that are most likely to be catastrophic. You know, basically, I think that, yes, we can do, following on what Beneath said, we can definitely try to find, like, any found money that we get, like manna from heaven, for example, like we should basically devote to the DPW, whether it's state funding, whether it's like the OPEB, the Operational Stabilization Fund interest. You know, we need to focus on that. But I don't think, you know, you're welcome to come ask for money and for bonding, but I think with the middle school and what's going to happen to our debt service, I think the reality is this big swing we just took, as Josh said, we can't really count on doing that too often. So, you know, I think your attitude should just be to just do exactly just the difficult triage and continue to give us reports, and hopefully we'll get fewer surprises and start to chip away and get a little bit better position each year.
Yeah, I think on our end, I think it's important that we're able to show these projects to you and then talk about the ramifications of not doing them, because they're not going to get done. And then that will fall back and the blame on my staff and me, which is fine, and I'll explain to them. But we need to be really clear what the pros and cons are of everything publicly, because there's going to be ramifications, and we're seeing them as we have with the broken water mains, and it's going to continue to happen. So
I think that is really important to, like you said, come back to us, talk about it, and say, because these are not, people may not understand. It's hard to wrap your head around. Well, if we don't pay this money, I want my street paved, but maybe that money's better paved or better spent fixing a water main so that my neighbors don't lose water. Both are important, and both will hopefully get done at some point, but there's a lot of things that you are worried about that maybe people don't understand and should be worried about.
I think it's fair to say the DPW is a priority for this board, and I think that if that's not the case from the past, it is now. And, you know, the more communication you give us, the more communication you put out with the public, and that we also explain to the public, the more people understand why it is a priority for all of us, right?
Well put. Shelley?
Yeah, I won't talk too much because I know it's getting late. One, I appreciate seeing this all together holistically. I agree with what everyone just said. This was very helpful for me, especially being new to the board, to see the bigger picture. Not only what you've done to help improve things and the wins you've had, but really what are those big challenges we have to think about as a town. And I just can't agree more with what was just stated. That, and I'm actually looking forward to kind of the select board and our financial summit that we have. Because I think that's where we're going to have to make some difficult decisions and prioritize. And I definitely think some of the things you discussed tonight are things that we as a select board need to prioritize for the town. And you're right, those aren't the flashy things that everybody loves, but they're the things that are going to help keep our town the way it is. So thank you for pulling this together. I found it very helpful. And I just would reiterate to please continue to escalate things to us when things do when you think we need to know that things are reaching that kind of boiling point, so we can kind of be aware and have your back.
Thank you, Shelley. Dan, go ahead.
Thank you, Sean. Can you guys hear me, by the way? It's a little choppy on the video.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, great. Yeah, Sean, really appreciate going through this. A lot of the stuff's like, to what Vineet was saying, is things that we've known for just our time on the board here, and I'm not going to echo what everyone has said. I agree with everyone's comments. I think this is why we all get involved with public service. It's to make a positive difference, make the difficult decisions to make our community better. As Andrew said, leave it in a better place than we found it. So I appreciate all these projects. Just one of the questions that I did have. With the increase of the water sewer rates, I think Josh mentioned just field conditions, and certainly something I hear a lot about, and I would like to while I'm on this board, I certainly want to try to make improvements to our field conditions. With the increased water sewer rates, do you feel that we will be able to allocate more funds towards improving our parks and our playing fields?
So I don't think you can use the enterprise funds for the fields.
I think.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying if we're going to be leveraging the funds that we have for water sewer projects, will that open up the opportunity to focus on fields as well?
I think that some of the fields are in the position that they'll have to be rebuilt before we can do anything to maintain them. So I don't know. It's like actually.
Yeah, and I wish I could say yes, Dan, but the reality is we were not using the general fund to subsidize the water sewer enterprise funds. I mean, maybe it happened in rare instances, but it was not really happening, which is why if you look on that slide, there was very little water work done until 2023. So it's not going to, with the rates going up, it doesn't mean we have relief in the operating budget, unfortunately. I wish I could say it did.
And then just a comment. I don't think we touched much on this, but with all the water main breaks going on, and we've seen some communication with residents and concerns around communication, or in some cases maybe lack of. And we don't have to go into it tonight, but I am just curious in terms of like what type of plans that we do have in place, and maybe that would be helpful for you, Sean, just to kind of highlight that quickly, because we're going to see more and more of these, and we've already seen a ton. So I think that'd be helpful for the public to understand that we do have communication in place, and maybe we've dropped the ball here and there, but I would like to hear a little more about that.
So yeah, I think we should step back. Some of the issues, communications around those water main breaks, people had believed were scheduled that might not have been, and staff did during those breaks go to Facebook and then post flyers in people's houses. One of the issues with these breaks has been that it's 11 o'clock at night or 1 in the morning. So we're not putting a code red out. We're not telling everybody. I did talk to Lynn after these series of breaks and said we're going to develop an SOP to make sure that when this happens, there's something going up on the town website immediately, and to let people know at a certain time in that area. So maybe it's 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. If you want, you get a code red saying you have a water main break. But we haven't gotten to that level where we're able to do the code reds in-house. But a lot of these breaks, unfortunately, have been 1 in the morning. and we can't knock on people's doors and stuff, but we are going to work on standardizing something to make sure that there's a way first thing in the morning on Sunday you're getting made aware. We've been putting flyers on people's houses, so.
This part, Sean, is sometimes to get it shut down, some of the valves don't work, we keep going further away from the break to get it shut down, and more houses come on.
Yeah, it starts off with a small neighborhood, but our valves, if you remember, we haven't been exercising. By the time we actually get ones that work, we're affecting a huge neighborhood. So we don't even know how many people are affected until the water's turned off. Have room to standardize how we communicate, and I think we'll have something shortly.
Thank you.
I know what Sean and Tim are saying, but if you guys want clarity or you want them to explain what valve exercising means and how often you're supposed to do it, they can walk you through all of that. It's boring, but also very interesting. And it helps kind of highlight how the system needs to function and the impact it can have if we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Oh, go ahead.
You want to really? It's okay.
Give us the 30 seconds.
I'm okay.
Yeah, but we need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars getting our valves exercised because most of them don't work and are broken. And if you can't isolate a small area between two valves, then you can't isolate a leak. You've got to go way bigger till you find ones that work. It's the short end of it.
Is that something that's part of when you're replacing a water main? Is that
new valves? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's an employee that it's part of their job to go out and exercise the valves, to test them, to make sure they go off and on and things are working appropriately, and that there was no standard practice within the department to do that for a very long time.
Lynn, have you thought about taking a role at the DPW? We are hiring.
We have room in the water department.
I think it's helpful though when you explain it, because they talk so fast, they use technical terms, and this is like what all of us live with every single day, and to understand that, when they go out there and the valve didn't work, like if there was a fire and they can't get something to work and turn right, it has serious life and property consequences. And
that was on Farmington Avenue when we found out that we had one working fire hydrant on the whole street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's you don't want to hear that, but it's good that it's better to know than to find out at the last minute.
They're working now.
Yeah, I know that. All right, anything else from the rest of the board? Well, I thank you very much for doing this. It was really helpful, and I think we are going to make it more often. Well, I know you got a long drive back, Sean, but we will definitely call you back more often to talk about this. It won't necessarily be as long because we'll be talking about a shorter period of time. But yeah, we really appreciate you both coming in and telling us where we're at and where we're going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Springfield Water and Sewer Committee or Commission 7th Agreement Extension.
Thanks. So with the agenda deadline, we thought this might come to you tonight, but we learned Friday that Springfield Water and Sewer was not going to be in attendance this meeting. So this is going to be likely September 1. It's also possible that you don't want them here or don't need them here for this extension. Just as a reminder, we're on one-year agreements, and this is the 7th extension of that agreement. We sign one annually. Before, they were just signing it in the department, and like everything you just saw in the last 3 years, we've said that's not the way it's supposed to be. It needs to come to you as the Water Sewer Commissioners. You're the authority on that.
They came to us last year, right?
They came to you in December.
But that wasn't for this. Okay.
It was just the overall Springfield Water conversation.
Yeah.
We did subsequently vote on an extension, but that was 2023 to 2024. So
yeah,
we are due for this one.
Yeah. So we'll attach it to an agenda, and if we can get them here, I always think it's a good idea to have them here. But.
Okay. Thank you. Zoning bylaw amendment referral floodplain bylaw.
Yeah, so at the last town meeting, was it annual town meeting? The floodplain bylaw obviously passed by majority vote.
Did not pass.
Did not pass, sorry. I said pass, sorry. Did not pass. After confirming with town council, if there is a public hearing of the planning board and a majority vote of the planning board to recommend it, it can come back on within a certain time span. So this is just a procedural vote to refer it back to the planning board to hold a public hearing on it.
And so for the rest of the board, we have to refer these. Yes, we have to refer these. But are any changes being made to the floodplain bylaw? Okay.
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
And for the rest of the board to peek your memories, we are against Mass state law, correct?
We're out of compliance, yeah.
We're out of compliance, and we have to update this floodplain bylaw. It did not pass at the annual town meeting, and there was people down that live over on, I can't remember the name, starts with a W, I can't remember the name, down past the
West Road, Dunn Road.
Yeah, thank you. Down past the dump by the Springfield Yacht Club. A lot of people there spoke against it, and so I hope this time around, since we have to do this, we work with those residents to hear their concerns and not have that done on the floor. So, but we'll refer back to the planning board for a public hearing.
And just to be clear, if they do not have a positive vote to recommend, then it cannot come back to
2 years, right?
Yep.
I'll move to refer the zoning floodplain bylaw to the planning board.
Second.
Anything further? All those in favor? Peggy? Peggy, roll.
Chair Beneath?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, for the Eversource pipeline update, I spoke about this in select board comment. I don't know if there's anything else we want to update, but Vineeth suggested that since the makeup of the board has changed, that we, I don't know, take our temperature. Do you have anything else to speak on
Well,
this?
no, yeah, I thought that just because there has been such a gap from when this was really in the news, Eversource was making any kind of movement on this, and now they came back with this meeting just to make it clear that the Long Meadow Select Board has not changed, and the town of Long Meadow has not changed its position in this regard, and that we are still opposed to Eversource's pipeline, and just to make that clear to folks that nothing has changed on our end.
Yeah, and there was what I found interesting. The one thing at the Eversource public forum, and Andrew, maybe you'll want to speak on this. There was a city council member from 16 Acres who asked how many of his customers would be out of service if something did happen to that pipeline. And it was 16,000 or something. And I think his attitude was, well, it's hard for me to be opposed to something where I could have 16,000 of my residents without heat. And I would hate for us to have done something where we have people in town who are freezing or out of their house for the winter, because it could take a long time to get this kind of repair done. The reason the reason I'm still against it is because, like I said, I need Eversource to justify it. And I just have not I haven't heard enough to get me to think that is exactly what they're doing. Because the problem is, and it's been a problem the whole time, there's one interconnection to this pipeline in Springfield, right next to the Hall of Fame. You can drive by it, you'll see it. It's just a fenced area with a bunch of big pipes. That's not being replaced. They said they're going to bulk it up, but if something happens there, then it doesn't matter how many pipelines they get, how many pipelines we have. There's still an issue there. And a lot of customers will have a problem if something happens there. And I don't think they're addressing that. And I think that there is something we've heard some things that this is a financial maneuvering by Eversource. I don't know. I don't want to point fingers necessarily, but that is an issue that I don't think is being addressed. And I've never gotten a satisfactory answer on that. So for that reason, I am still against this project. Like I said, I would never want to be the person or even one of the people that made it so when a friend or somebody in town doesn't have heat, but I don't think that's being addressed. Anybody else? Okay. So do we have or how do you want to style your motion, Vinny?
Oh, I don't know. Do we need a motion? Or just kind of.
I guess not.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily have to vote.
Yeah, because nothing's changed. It was just kind of make it clear.
Yeah, and the town really the only way we can oppose this pipeline, we could vote all we want, we could do whatever. We have the power of the federal and the state government. There's a lot of federal laws that gives Tennessee Gas, they can do whatever they want, anywhere in the state, locally. Our laws are generally exempt. The way we could stop this, if that's what people want to do, and that is what people want to do because the town has voted on it a number of times, is to oppose it at the state permitting level, and we're doing that by funding an attorney who's very well versed in this, and that has not changed. He's got, so we have $300,000 or so committed to the project, around there.
From the start, there's about 160 or so
left.
Yeah, but from the start, 300.
Because we hired an expert, so we've talked about this in this room ad nauseum, but there's a lot of money that has been set aside to pay for a lawyer, which is really, I think, the only way, public advocacy, et cetera, but I think the most concrete way is to hire a lawyer, which we've done. So if anybody else has anything to say, now's the time. Otherwise, we'll move on to correspondence. And we got a number of great letters here from residents. I appreciate, we got a number on artificial turf, the middle school and high school, which may come up at some point. So I appreciate people pitching in on that. The one, we got a letter from Country Bank, is that right, on the signs?
Yes, did that come in when I was?
It's August 8th. So that didn't get sent to us. I didn't see it until it hit the agenda. I think to have them be able to do this, we'd want to get it on the next agenda.
So because it is objects on the tree belt, the policy actually states select board or town manager, and this is kind of how we've gone through the process with the pollinator gardens as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
we had more than one?
We had two.
Oh, okay,
and
good.
one you were able to, the policy for objects on the tree belt says select board or town manager.
Okay.
So we could, if this falls into that policy and it doesn't fall into just a regular signage policy through the zoning bylaws, then we can definitely take this up.
Okay, I would
without
much rather
select board action.
I would much rather it be without select board action. I think what I would just say is they would like it until September 30th. I just think any signs on town property in general, I think we should try to shoot for like 30 days. Not.
I think there actually are parameters surrounding the time frame in both the zoning bylaws and the select board policy.
Great.
I believe it's actually less. It's much less than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So follow the policy.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have to come to us, I think that's great. I know Country Bank, I had forgotten they'd open there, so it's probably good that they put some signage up. But I wish them the best of luck. So, all right. Anybody else in correspondence? All right, Vineet, you know what to do.
All right, I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, roll, please.
Vineet?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank everybody. Good night.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.